Morning, Raptor Freak. Alexi Otts here. Saturday morning after a fantastic late win against the Phoenix Suns last night. Listen, we just really match up really well with them. We have a style of play that really suits beating them too, which is awesome. I love it. It was really interesting to see how the Raptors just out physicaled and out energied the Phoenix Suns in certain ways last night, made it really hard on them. And, we really played them that way the first time we played them also. And it's really good that we could build on top of that last night and actually execute and during the stretch run get that win because that was so telling, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, you got to understand the stats with the Phoenix Suns this season. That they have been one of the best teams in the fourth quarter, efficient wise, and just taking over the game and winning the game. And that is a big reason why their record is so good this year. And the fact that we were able to do things that we did and at the end of the game last night was huge. And it just shows that we may be way further along than people expect. It's weird because we go up and down with what we expect from this team. We see these really poor losses recently without Fred, and then Fred comes back, and all of a sudden we look like we could fucking win the championship. This is the crazy thing about this team is they're so hard to gauge. Now, there's a lot of great things to talk about last night. Once again, Scotty Barnes came out with a different kind of vibe to him, a different kind of energy. He came into the arena wearing all black with the chain, and he just looked badass. And he was saying on his Instagram that he's starving his focus to just what it matters, and he's only paying attention to what matters, and that is his game right now. One thing I want to say about what we've been talking about this week with Scotty and his rookie of the year chase is last night is the kind of game that is a step in the right direction, a huge step in the right direction. Because listen, Scotty did a huge thing in this game last night to help us win. He got some major steals right at the end of the game. So in a way, his defensive play was a huge clutch factor in the game last night. And I'm like I said before the game, we win this game and Scotty has something to do with us winning this game, that he's going to get more attention for possibly getting rookie of the year because we just knocked off the best record in the league. And our rookie was one of the key factors at the end with some huge steals. And that breakaway dunk was so fantastic to see at the end. And just, what a great fun game last night, y'all. This is the thing. When you open your mind to the realm of possibility, anything can happen. Many people yesterday probably were like, there's no way the Raptors can beat the Suns tonight. And well, they did. And that's what I'm saying. And I love that we were saying, let's get them both. Monique was saying it yesterday. Let's get them both. And you know what? Now we're set up to try and do it because we got the first one. And now tonight we go to the Mile High City. We have to do a back-to-back against two of the toughest teams in the Western Conference. 2 nights in a row. This is not easy what we're doing. Now we're going to a place where the air is high and you have a hard time with your oxygen. And you got to do a back-to-back against a Denver Nuggets team that has actually had the night off the night before. They played Golden State on Thursday and they lost. But this is the thing about Denver. They've won pretty much every game in their last 15 games except for 2. So they are rolling still, even though their last game was a loss. We need to realize that they're rolling and they're badasses, and they don't even have all their good players like Jamal Murray. So cannot take tonight lightly at all. But let's not get past this great victory from last night. Let's revel in it. Let's talk about it. Let's react to it a bit right now. I just want to say, listen, Gary Trent Jr., thank you for coming out of your funk. Thank you for showing up and being that Gary again. We knew you'd do it. I love what you said after the game when they asked you about being a shooter. You said, you're not a shooter, you're a scorer that just happens to shoot. And I think that that's a very apropos way of describing yourself, that you are a slasher. You can go to the basket and lay it in. You do have that mid-range. You're not just a three-point shooter. You have levels to your game. And I love that you corrected the interviewer and said, I'm a scorer. I'm not just a shooter. Callie, good morning. That game had so many ups and downs like a roller coaster. So happy for the win. Callie, I know it did seem like that, but in a way, did it really? Because honestly, we kind of dominated the Phoenix Suns last night in quite a few ways. I did not get to watch Alvin and Matt last night. I watched the Phoenix announcers with Ray, last name's Ray, Hardaway and Eddie Johnson, a great pro who was on the Phoenix Suns for many years that I remember as a kid, Eddie Johnson. And they were saying the whole game that the Raptors were really kind of handling them and that they were kind of worried about the Suns the whole game. Yeah, they were kind of confident. They were trying to say, oh, Devin Booker will bail them out and hit some big shots late in the game to help them win. But they were really, the whole game, the way they were calling it was like we were beating them, even though the game was close at a lot of times and stuff like that. But we were kind of really controlling the game for the most part last night. I think with Chris Paul out, that Fred VanVleet is the real floor general out there. That guy campaigned as much as he wanted to be the man and tough, and he was really annoying. And he's got a chip on his shoulder against the Raptors because we cut him a couple years ago. Yeah, when Cameron Payne plays against the Raptors, he has some extra motivation because we gave up on him and cut him a few years ago. So he really was playing with a lot of energy and spirit. And all that stuff with him and Gary Trent last night was very interesting. You know, Gary is guilty of kicking his leg out, and those fouls were warranted. Now, the first one, he didn't get a flagrant, but he did it again, so he got a flagrant. But the one thing about those plays I don't like, and they both sides were doing this to a degree. Precious did this a little bit last night also. There was a lot of overacting. There was a little bit of that football spirit where you get kicked or something, you fall down, and you really milk it. Yeah, you really milk it. They say, no, stay down for a sec. Just stay down for a sec. Let the refs register this. Let the refs ponder whether they need to go watch the video, whether they need to possibly like give you a flagrant foul, things like that. You know, so Cam Payne was really overacting. When Gary kicks his leg out, you can't get that hurt. Come on, man. You're standing there holding your head. You're acting like you just got like a lariat or a clothesline or something. No, man. He barely touched you. And it's really to milk it and make sure the refs make the call. And you know what? I want to say something about the refs right now. The refs were on our side for once. It was really weird. The refs were in some ways helping us. And I can't dispute that. Phoenix Sun fans going to say that today, that we partly won because the refs helped us. And I can't dispute that in a way because the referees were really calling it towards us in some ways last night. I have no problem with that. No problem with that. Just win is what we're saying. And if it has to be a little bit with their help, it just evens things out because they've stolen victories from us. They've been such shit to us at different times during the season. In fact, Monique posted a very interesting article this morning about the refereeing quality that different teams get. Whether you get experienced, really good refs, or you get the rookie refs that aren't rated as high. Well, the Raptors are one of the teams in the league that gets a pretty poor quality reffing crew usually. Yeah, we get poor reffing crews compared to teams like Boston. They did the whole research and they looked at it and the ref ratings, and we are one of the teams, partly because we don't play some of the Western Conference teams that are big like that many times, and part of it is we're not on national television very much. So that's a very interesting factor in that article today. If you can find it, I think it's out by NBA Illuminati or something like that. They did all the stats and looked at it, and we have one of the poorest ratings of refereeing for our games. Kenny's saying, Callie, first, I want to say, I bet your stress meter was interesting last night with it going up and down. But, near the end, we had a lot of really good lucky breaks. And with the 3 minutes to go and getting those turnovers in a row, like 3 turnovers right in a row, and they were transition turnovers where we got easy baskets from them, that just absolutely killed the Suns in them being able to win this game. And I love that. I love that we had an intense defense at the end that coughed up the ball from them, and we got really easy lay-ins because of it at crunch time. And that was a really good way to win. And then once again, I really feel like Gary Trent Jr. wants the ball at the end of the game so that he goes to the line and he's taking these clutch free throws, that he has taken this responsibility and that they may be going with it because he really was asking for the ball at the end and to get those free throws at the line that mattered to really ice the game. You could tell that he was trying to get the ball for that. And I like that because he is really calm, cool, and collected at the line, and he's making them. And we did really well at the free throw line again last night. This is something that is a common thread in these good wins. We only missed 2 free throws last night and shot 90% from the free throw line. That is a very, very good way to win. Kenny saying we will beat Denver. I can feel it. I think you might be right, Kenny. We got good momentum. Listen, we only lost to them by 1 point the last time we played them, and there was severe ref manipulation in that game. The refs were really helping Jokic. They were treating him like a golden boy, a 7-foot golden boy, anything they could do to help him. And this is the thing. We come in with some momentum. Maybe we catch them by surprise. We can maybe do what we did last night. That'd be fantastic. But I'm glad you feel good about it. I feel good about it just because of momentum. These guys got to have some swagger. Listen, before the game last night, I'm watching them all shoot around, the Suns and the Raptors. And the Suns team was so loose last night. You can tell they're feeling real good. They clinched their playoff spot. They're playing at a high level. And the way they act before the game, they're just all dancing. They're all like just having a good time. That's a great way to be with your team. But in some ways, I think they might have been a little overconfident last night, a little bit overconfident, because they didn't know they're going to get punched in the face last night. Oh, yeah. Callie saying those fouls on Gary, shaking my head. I know it seems kind of flaky and weird, the whole kick the leg out thing, but honestly, they're saying that one of the people that they made the rule changes for is Gary Trent Jr. specifically. That when they showed a package of people that were doing things that were what they wanted to stop, Gary was one of the players on the list with the kick out. Trae Young, James Harden, and Gary was on that list also. And that move, he hasn't really done that much this year. I think that he just had a blank in his mind, and he was just trying to initiate contact to get to the foul line. And then he reverted to an old thing that he used to do that he really shouldn't do this year at all. He needs to not kick his leg out because that's the rule now, and they will call him every time. And this is the thing. He hasn't been good. He has been good about not doing it for most of the season. How often has he been getting that offensive foul call? And honestly, with everything that they called during the game last night, they were really fair to us. So I can't get mad at those calls, really. And one thing about those calls that I really like is they could have made Gary really pissed off and got him out of his game. Just like the Suns got out of their game last night. They were getting pissed off about the calls, and they made some dumb mistakes and gave us a double technical. Two guys got technicals, not one guy, and they got ejected, but two guys got technical, and then they made those shots, and then that hurt them. And we didn't have that kind of equal reaction to the refs in any kind of way. Like if Gary had gotten pissed off and then he got technicals at that time, or it took him out of his game. Even think about that. Like if he was a little less aggressive because the refs were like, well, you kicked out your leg, got an offensive foul. But no, he came right back down the other end of the court, and he was calmly and coolly hit a three and just kept going with his offensive game, which I love, because that could have deterred him from his great offensive flow last night when he got those offensive fouls, but he didn't allow it, which is awesome. Alistair saying this makes up for all the losses after the break. We back on top. Yes, Alistair, we got to ride these waves. We're going to go whoop, 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 whoop. We're going to ride these waves, and it's just going to be sweeter and sweeter, because this is the thing. Our lows can be very low, but obviously we can see once again the ceiling and the things that this team's going to be able to do in the next couple of years is extremely high. And we're seeing more and more of it. And some of the people that are writing the articles about the Raptors this morning are saying things like, this team is closer to being a championship team than we all think. That they only need a couple of pieces, and they're not huge pieces like everybody thinks they are. That's what I've been trying to say all season. Everybody's saying we need to go get another superstar. We need to get a high draft pick. We need to do all this stuff. No, we don't. We need to do very little and keep this core together as best as we can, with just complementing it with better role players that fit in with it and interlock with things. Like Thad Young is a better interlock with this team than Goran Dragic. It's very simple. It's like that. And some of the guys on the bench who are not doing what they're doing, they can get switched out this summer with new pieces, new players that really fit well with our whole entire scheme, whether it's a real center, whether it's a better score off the bench, all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying. The future is so bright and it's a lot closer than we think. Like, think about this. Everybody's saying, like the Phoenix Suns announcers last night were saying, nobody in the East is going to want to play Toronto Raptors in the playoffs. It doesn't matter where you are in the standings. When you see who's on the other side of your bracket, you don't want to see Toronto on the other side of the bracket. And this whole thing about us maybe being in the play-in against Brooklyn is very exciting in some ways. I kind of want to be in the play-in with Brooklyn just to fuck them up and put them out like almost right away. Yeah, because there's still some ambiguity about whether Kyrie Irving would be able to play in Toronto. So think about that. We get the 7th and the 8th, and that's who we are. It's us in Brooklyn, and we got the home court, and they got to play here, and then we beat them in Toronto. They got to go down to the lower part of the play-in and have to win that one to stay alive. So there's a lot of interesting things that could develop before the end of the year. But listen, if we start beating all these Western teams on this road trip, then we should expect to get out of the play-in. That's what I'm saying. The thing that was going to beat us down and keep us in the play-in is losing these games. But if we're going to win them, then we're going to get out of the play-in. That's just how it works. I can see this happening because Cleveland is still really having problems and stuff like that. So let's keep going. I really like what you guys are saying. Let me see. Callie's saying, I disagree. Precious got hit in the head pretty hard. We seem to get good refs when we play better teams. That's true. That's part of the study is for the better teams, the big teams, they do bring the better refs in. But even then, like, who do they rate as a good ref? I'm going to have to go look at this study that Monique posted on Facebook this morning and really look and see what the names are and where people like Ed Malloy and Tony Brothers are on the list. Yeah, the thing with Precious did look hard. Like, I'm not saying that he wasn't hurt. I'm just saying that, in soccer, when guys get kind of touched or hurt, they really exemplify it just so the ref has to do something about it. There's a little bit of that last night with guys laying on the ground a little longer than they probably had to. But with Precious, he kind of hit his head. So they did have to do a concussion check with him and kind of do the lining up before they let him get up and stuff. So I'm not saying he didn't get hurt, but also there was a lot of that in the game. And there was on both sides. It wasn't just the Suns overacting like with campaign. There was stuff that it's funny when I say campaign, it makes me think campaign like a political campaign. But yeah, I won't disagree with what you're saying. Precious did get a flagrant foul at that time. That was a flagrant, and that was a huge play for us because we got the foul shots and the ball on our back for afterwards too, which was great. But yeah, it was a rough game in different ways and stuff like that. I really like how over the course of the game, Ayton and Crowder were less and less of factors. Like Ayton came out and he was reeling and dealing. They were going right to him early in the game, and he was eating us alive. But I don't know what happened. If it was something to do with like bringing Precious out and Chris or something like that. There was just more activity by us around the basket that Ayton was pretty stymied after that. And then Crowder was really good at the beginning, but then he kind of got hurt a little bit or something, or I forget what happened to him. He left the game and then he didn't really come back. I don't know why they didn't use him more, or he wasn't more aggressive late in the game. Those two big guys did everything early. And then there was really more coasting on their guards, and Devin Booker never really got going. He never really did. I mean, I know that he got pretty good score. Like what did he average? He averaged, he got 22 points, 9 of 18 shooting. Yeah, that's not a really great night for Devin Booker. That's pretty, that's the baseline bottom that he could probably do and stuff like that. Kenny's saying 4 straight turnovers late in the game. That's clutch. Yeah, the defense. We out-defensed them in some ways. They turned on their defense a lot in the fourth quarter themselves, and they were putting a lot of pressure on us. And we had such a good third quarter. Oh, my gosh. Our third quarter was really the big part of it. Like, we beat them by 10 points, 40-30, but it really widened the gap because they were kind of hanging around us the whole game. And then when we kind of got that double-digit leads at different times, like we had it up to 16 at one point. That was fantastic. But you see how quickly a team like Phoenix can gobble that lead up, and it's nothing all of a sudden again. And that's why it's so cool that we stayed ahead of them, stayed together, and we ended up gutting this win out. because that's really what they've been doing to teams. Sometimes they'll play a little bit of possum and they'll like hold back and they won't be doing as well. And then at the end, they really come out firing and overwhelm with their offense at the end. But we didn't allow that. And that really, those turnovers were huge key. Yeah, the steals from Scotty, really big. Hey, Darren's here. Good morning, Jakarta, or good evening, Jakarta. Raps need Fred to be healthy. Yes. Fred is actually looking super healthy now. Like, he really does look healthy. He didn't play as well last night. And if you noticed, he switched the poo shoes off after the first half. He was wearing them for the first half of the game last night, but he switched to his white and purple and red old school Raptor shoes last night for the second half. And I understand why. Those poo shoes did good in the last game. They didn't do so great in the first half. And like I said, his overall game last night wasn't super great, but there's so many intangibles that Fred brings otherwise than just his scoring. So he gets 10 points, but he had 8 rebounds as a point guard and 4 assists. That's okay. I'm okay with that. He did have 5 turnovers. But listen, he was directing a lot of things. He was still being that steady guy. He was controlling the flow. He was keeping guys on task with leadership, things like that. There's so many different things he does other than just hits these threes and scoring for us. There's so many things. And he did a lot of them last night on the down low. We saw them. Let's see. Alistair saying OG should be back soon to push us over the edge. Oh, yeah. I like that. It's really nice to have packages on layaway that you're getting coming. They're coming to you. You just got to wait, and then they'll be back and everything. OG is going to be a huge addition for our defense and just different things, obviously. And I don't remember or know the timeline exactly with him. He's going to probably surprise us and be like, yeah, I'm ready to play. All of a sudden, we'll be like, whoa, OG's back, and it'll be cool. That's what I think is going to happen. The family's saying, I love Devin Booker coughing up the ball and crying about it to the refs after the game. Oh, my gosh. You should have heard what he said in his press conference after the game. He was saying that it was not fair, that the referees were biased, that they were not helping them. Yes, it was so fun to watch. Like, we really did like out energy them, and like we out rebounded them. We just killed them on the offensive glass, and the referees were rewarding the team with the energy, the team that was working real hard, and that was us. And that's why we were getting a lot of the calls. I love that we were getting calls. Like, some of the calls we were getting to the line, we were getting to shoot free throws, and we were hitting them. Gary Trent Jr., 8 for 8 from the line last night. Precious, 4 for 4. These guys were actually taking it to heart and really trying to make them. We only have 2 missed free throws, as I said earlier, one by Siakam and one by Banton. And that's really not bad at all. But yeah, Booker, listen, Gary Trent Jr. may be just as good as Devin Booker. It's just that he has to be consistent night in, night out. Maybe Booker has a little more consistency to his game, but those two guys aren't that far off of each other for who they are and what they can do. And Booker is an all-star. And that's why this argument that Gary Trent Jr. is an all-star also, I think it could be coming true. Yeah, but it's just he's got to be more consistent. He's got to do this night in, night out, and not have any of these single-digit games where he shoots like really bad. And then he'll be like considered more up there with guys like Devin Booker. Callie's saying Precious makes mistakes, but love his intensity on defense and aggressive play on offense. The first half, Precious did that dunk where he attacked the rim. Oh man, that's the nasty thing about him is he'll rebound the ball and he'll dribble the ball up the court, and he's looking to give it to somebody else, but he's also looking to see if the defense is making a room for him to go right to the rim, because he does that. And like, he has such a quick burst of speed, like when they're not knowing that he'll just come and then boom, he's there and he's dunking. And I love that. Precious impressed me so much. Like these recent games, as much as Scotty is impressing me, seriously, Precious is doing the same kind of stuff that's super impressive. And one of the things he did last night that was really good that most people won't talk about is that when Kem came out of the game, he did a good job on Ayton also. And that's tough because Ayton's a big dude, and like Precious did an all right job out there. And we really made Phoenix have to adjust to our big lineup by having to play 2 centers late. Like, it was so weird seeing Bismack out there with JaVale McGee playing at the same time. And that one play, I think it was Precious, was coming and attacking the basket. He had 2 of the greatest shot blockers in the history of the NBA trying to stop him. between him. He literally had two of the greatest shot blockers in the history of the NBA trying to stop him, JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo, right in between him and the rim. So of course that was going to be hard to get around there. But yeah, I totally agree with this, Callie, that Precious, he's making mistakes here and there. Like, I don't like how he tries to dribble and back into the guy. Like, he's ripe for the picking. If he tries to do too much away from the basket to get his position low, like dribble in like this, because another guy can come and just steal it from him. He's not going to be able to bring it up and pass it. So it's a kind of thing where he may be better off in the post established and we feed him instead of him coming from the wing and trying to bring the ball into the lane himself, because he caused 2 turnovers last night by trying to do that. And that wasn't good. But that's something we can fix. But I like his instincts of what he's trying to do. Raymond Jacobs said it was another fourth quarter thriller, but when we forced 4 straight turnovers, I knew the Suns were shaking in their boots. Yeah, they really it's weird. It's such a weird thing. Our team has such a good synergy when they're on, when they really are in together on defense and on the same page, communicating, rotating, doing everything. We're so stifling. Like, the Phoenix offense is really good, and they should be able to score at will against most teams. But for some reason, we do a really good job stopping them. And I think it's partly because we have usually taller people on their guards, and that's how they rely on getting their 3-point shots, is these shorter guys are open. And Devin Booker is not a super tall guy. So if we have these taller defenders who are just as quick as him in some ways, that he can't get an open shot over them. And that's part of our secret to success with our defense and the things we've been doing. Marlon Toby says the best actor award goes to Cam Payne. Yeah, I can't disagree with this. He was doing a lot of acting last night, a lot of whining, a lot of holding his head, a lot of you're not that hurt, dude. Come on, man. You're not that hurt. He just kicked his leg out. He may have tapped your shin and whatever, it's like so silly. Kenrick saying the Suns play dirty. I didn't see too much dirty stuff. In fact, in some ways, the Suns kind of shy away from physicality. I think that's similar to the Bucks. The Bucks and the Suns are similar in a lot of ways, other than being in the finals last year, both of them. And think about this, y'all. Now our record against the 2 teams in the finals last year for this year is going to be 4-1. So in the games that we played against the 2 teams in the NBA finals this season, we ended up with a 4-1 record. We just lost that one game to Phoenix. And we beat them, both those teams, every single time otherwise, which is awesome. But no, I think it's the opposite, Kenrick. I think that the Phoenix Suns shy away from contact in some ways. In some ways, there may be an Andrea Bargnani kind of finesse, get around you kind of team. And, we're a lot more physical. Like, if there's a scale of physicality, I think Detroit's somewhere over here and we're right here. And then Phoenix may be over here somewhere is what I'm talking about. So Kenrick's saying taking Gary's landing space, refs saved them from getting blown out. I like this. Yeah. Okay. So you think that Cam was getting in Gary's leg area, and that's part of the reason why they were getting contact with each other. That could be partly true. But yeah, it was obvious that Gary was kicking his leg out, and that's why they had to call that. But, I don't know if your statement about them playing dirty, I didn't see too much of it. Like, it's there may be stuff I missed. And the refs saving them from getting blown out, I don't know if that's completely true too. They're going to probably tell you that the refs helped us win, and that if the refs hadn't done that, we wouldn't have beat them. They would say some bullshit like that probably, but in some ways they did keep the game close. The referees did, and there were challenge calls and different silly things that were going on in there. But I thought the refs were good overall. Leon Wood is a great ref. He's a former player, and he's been in a ref for a long time. And he was the one who was running things last night. And I thought he did a good job. He's always been kind of very fair to the Raptors. So Alistair saying Precious Achua has changed. He finally improved consistently his effort and scoring at an all-time high. Future starter. Yeah, I think he could be, honestly, if he was a place like Orlando or something like that, they'd be really trying to do a lot of things through him and stuff like that. But then again, maybe they wouldn't, because they wouldn't be able to see the possibilities with him. He should be so lucky and feels so happy that he got traded to the Raptors, because I don't think the Miami Heat would be developing him the way that we're developing him right now. That if he was on the end of that bench with the Heat right now, he wouldn't get half the playing time. He wouldn't get half the chances to do all this stuff. So Precious, feel real lucky and blessed that you're on the Raptors, because they're giving you a chance to really expand your game and possibly make yourself into more and more of a superstar to get a bigger contract. And that's a really good thing. Alistair saying Gary Trent clamping up superstars and giving you 42. Yeah, both ends of the court. Like, just really, like, him and Fred did such a good job in some ways on the guards for Phoenix, that they're not as good when they were their best players. Payne and Booker and Ayton, the three of them had their most of points, and Bridges. But, their bench didn't have nothing. We outscored their bench. Once again, our bench is showing up and beating the other team's bench 2 games in a row now. That's a great trend that I hope that can continue, that our bench keeps showing up big time. Seymour Pape is saying, I wonder if Suns won most of their games this season off poor reffing. How is it in offense on Gary Trent when he ain't even landed yet? This needs to seriously be addressed. Payne in the a-hole is a crybaby. Yeah, that was the rule they changed because they got sick of Trae Young and James Harden kicking their leg out, and people were kind of getting hurt from them kicking them and stuff like that. So they're real sensitive to this. This was a call they called a lot at the beginning, and the people have stopped doing it for the most part. But for some reason, Gary did it a couple times last night, and they called him on it. And that's the right call, because that's the new book. That's the new rule book. I didn't see the angle exactly right, because you guys are both saying that he kind of jumped in and kind of got underneath him when he was up in the air with his jump shot. But I thought that he was kind of normal with what he did, but who knows? We won. That's all that matters. We beat him. Fred had more rebounds than DeAndre Ayton. That is a fantastic stat. Yeah, Fred had 8 and DeAndre had 7. That's like, that is a big thing. We really did dominate them on the rebounds. And the offensive rebounds for us were fantastic. We were getting so many points off that. Like, if we look at the team stats from last night, let's just see how we beat them. They actually shot better than us, but we got 6 more field goal attempts than them. We shot better from three-pointer, though. Like, we shot 43% from three-pointer. They only shot 30. We had 14 threes. They had 11. The free throw shooting, once again, 19 points off free throw shooting at 90% at the line. Fantastic. 12 offensive rebounds. And that can't be understated. That's a huge thing for helping us win this game. And hustle stats were pretty good, too. They were even 15-15. They had more blocks than us. JaVale McGee himself had like 4 blocks, a few on Precious specifically. The turnovers were pretty even. Fast break points, we won 25-15. And they beat us actually in the points in the paint. So, that we outshot them from three-pointer and free throws, and that's how we won. Let's see. Jimmy Pope, good to see you again, Jimmy. I just love the amount of composure. Scotty, we're so lucky to have him. Yeah, he's really – it's weird because, all right, part of what I was thinking yesterday with it being Phoenix is in the history of the Raptors, Vince Carter – had a huge game against the Phoenix Suns in his rookie year. He got like a 50-point game against Phoenix on NBC. It was like the first nationally televised Raptor game in the United States on NBC. And Vince came out. I went to the game. I was in person at the game. And Vince came out and scored 50 points on NBC on national television against the Phoenix Suns. And I don't know if Scotty is aware of that kind of legacy or that part of our history, because I had a feeling last night, it was like, well, if Scotty has a really big scoring game and he somehow helps us win the game, that maybe he's thinking about that kind of thing. But he didn't have a super huge scoring game. I think he only had 15 points last night, but he was really key in different ways. And it is the intangibles. It's the defense. And like, you know what? You're right. The poise for somebody like him, because like rookies like him should be getting absolutely exhausted by this point in the season. They should be possibly overwhelmed because they've hit walls in the NBA. They're like, holy crap, the competition's so much harder here, so much more physical, so much more like you have to do to be a pro in the NBA compared to being a college player, that he's not hitting that. In fact, he's hitting more and more of a stride and getting better as the season goes on. And I love that. And like he needs to do this to get the Rookie of the Year award because they're still looking at it very even. Like these NBA guys who are very biased and they look at it a very way, they still put him at third behind Mobley and Cunningham. And that's the thing. But they're saying it's a tight race. So that's what I'm saying. If we can continue to beat top teams like this with Scotty having a huge role and the reason why, that it will bode well for him in the voting, I hope. But some of it last night was more defensive, and that's not as flashy and easy to see on the stat box. But the steals, the block the other night, he's been getting big blocks at the end of the game to help us win. Obviously the steals, rebounding. Like if we miss a shot near the end of the game in clutch time, he's going to be there to try and clean it up and put it right back. And it's just different stuff like that. But you're right, man. This poise that he has is way beyond his years. And it shows that it may be that he may be a vet very quick. Like he may come back next season and we're like veteran Scotty Barnes, even though he's only had 1 year in the league. He's a vet already. Oh, so good. Seymour saying a person said first. I think they are meaning the elbow in the head. He kept putting his head into Gary's space. Okay, yeah. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, he's sticking his head in there and stuff like that. Yeah, that elbow, I didn't even see the contact there. Like I saw the contact with his leg, but apparently he hit him also. But that's whatever. Like Payne, you guys are all right. He's a bad actor. He's overacting. That shit was, it's the new rule. We have to follow it, even if it's full of shit. But it's been good overall because it stopped people like Harden and Trae Young from doing too much bullshit. So I mean, I'll take that little negative for the whole thing for all of the positive that we get from that new rule change anyway. But okay, I see what you're saying, G, and the guys. You're saying that you think it was the higher contact that you guys are talking about where he was leaning in there. Okay. All right. Seymour Pape. A person said they didn't have CP3 and that was key. I said we didn't have OG. Excuses. We won. We the North. That there's a valid point on both sides. But every night people have guys missing and this and this and this. And they haven't complained or had any problems winning without Chris Paul against a lot of big teams. Like they played Miami a couple nights ago and they blew them out. And they didn't have Chris Paul that night. So listen, come on. We won. Don't discount it. They can say the refs. They can say Chris Paul. They can say whatever they want. But we still got a W. And it's going to go in the record books that way. And this morning, we looked real good because we beat the best team in the NBA in a game we shouldn't have never won in the eyes of most NBA experts. Oh, yeah. Banana Bread Tan, good morning. Good to see you. What up? Scotty has been playing so well. I hope they let him lead the bench unit. Well, they do kind of because he comes in and starts, but then he kind of gets out early and then he comes back with the bench guys, and he's often out there with Thad and Delano and Chris and Precious. I really like everything that Scotty's doing right now. Really good aggression early. Like we didn't see as much of his trying to score like we did against San Antonio, but he was still picking his spots and doing smart things. Like he didn't even have a three that was nice and rhythm and stuff like that. Yeah, he had a 3-pointer where they just left him open and he just shot it, put it in. So there was some diversity in what he was doing to score. It wasn't all near the basket last night, different things. And, he just fit. He did really well. Some of the more key things that he did was on the defensive end last night, for sure. But yeah, if he's going to be with the bench unit, I still want him to. I mean, I'm on the camp now. He's got to be starting because he's just a badass. And at this point, we can't bring him off the bench. He's still trying to win this Rookie of the Year. Raymond Jacob is saying, do you think Phoenix is taking the West? It's interesting because some of these teams that we've seen, like Milwaukee and Phoenix, we play really well against them, but other teams don't seem to play as well against them and stuff like that. It's so hard to tell. Like with Denver getting Murray back possibly before the end of the year and stuff like that. He's not back tonight first. Well, I'll say that. That'll make a big difference for them. There's Utah, I think, has gotten worse since they did their deals. That, Joe Ingles was way more important to them than they thought. And they did a little bit of a shuffle. And I don't think they're as good. Golden State is Golden State, but I think they have some flaws themselves. I think they're very they need Draymond, obviously. If they don't have Draymond, they're in trouble. It's wide open in the West. But if we're looking at favorites, I think the two teams we're seeing last night and tonight are the two favorites in my eyes, as far as things to possibly get to the finals on the Western side. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. And you're saying finals, Phoenix versus Toronto? That'd be great. I'd love to see that finals. That'd be a fun finals. I wouldn't be upset getting to the finals, obviously, but I don't know how realistic that is for us. But we could see. We could see how things go. We get some luck and getting some momentum, good health. And who knows? Anything's possible. Scotty G saying Scotty grabbed the rebound away from Ayton at the end and gave it to Gary. Gary got fouled. That was a key play. Yeah, that's right. That they had the ball, but we were just really aggressive. It's like, once again, it's the team who comes out and smacks the other team in the face that does really well. And we scored first. We came out there right away and we didn't look flat. We got right on them right away. And that was fantastic. Pascal didn't shoot super great last night, but he had huge baskets at different times. And he really did show his dominance in important times where he could just shoot over them at different times or just spin around them, get the basket, get the lay-in. Once again, he didn't shoot that well. He was 10 for 24, but he got 25 points. He got 10 assists and he had 7 rebounds. Why didn't you get 3 more rebounds, Pascal? You get a triple double. You're so close with these triple doubles. You got the 10 assists this time. That's usually what you don't get. And you didn't get the rebounds this time. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. Banana Bread Tan saying Malachi and Scotty could develop a similar chemistry as Pascal and Freddie. I went and watched the How Hungry Are You with Serge Ibaka with DeMar DeRozan yesterday. Finally, I found it, and it was fantastic. Cannot recommend this enough. And what DeMar said about playing in Toronto again was this. He'd only come and play for Toronto if Kyle was still here because he only wants to play in Toronto with Kyle. That that's his legacy is with Kyle here. And that he's kind of said that his time's passed with the Raptors. It's sealed up and done. And that it's Pascal and Fred's time. So there's kind of like these pairings. It's like, Kyle and DeMar, then Pascal and Fred's time. And maybe Scotty will have a guard with him that becomes the person that kind of travels along with him also. So, yeah, I like this idea. I don't know if it's Malachi, though. What if it's Delano? What if it's Delano and Scotty? And that's the pairing that we get, and they're kind of handcuffed together as they go forward. Or what if it's Scotty and Precious? That they're the two, and Scotty's the point guard, and Precious is the guy like Pascal or DeMar. Those are the kind of things I'm seeing. I don't think it's Malachi, though. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Malachi in the next couple of years. I hope he can stick around and be on the team and continue to develop, but there's no guarantees, obviously, with the way things are going. Top of top 21, good to see you again. The reffing was poor, but Pascal has to be better offensively for us to go anywhere in the postseason. He scored 25, but he was inefficient in a struggle. Campaign is lucky he plays in this era. Yeah, we're all dumping on Campaign today. If he's more efficient, that'd be great. That's the whole thing. We always got to figure out how much water we got to put in that to win, to get the W. And some nights we don't put enough in there because we just don't have it. Whether it's Gary slumping, Pascal's missing a couple. One of the things I don't like about what's happening with Pascal is that once again he's getting really good easy shots, but his spin seems really weird, and it should just drop in. Like if he has a good spin, it should cater towards the ball going in. But why does it spin and then fall out like that? It doesn't make sense to me. If there's some sort of adjustment you can make, Pascal, that can get your shots more high percentage to go in with the spin, do it. Talk to Earl Watson. Figure this out because we need you to start dropping these really easy close shots that for some reason they're rolling out. I don't understand it. Even Scotty had a really weird shot where he shot it with a very crazy spin also, and it didn't look good either in the lane. So I want these guys to think about how the ball comes off their fingers and the English that they're putting on it and the spin, because you can really, this is one of the things Kawhi is a master at, really get a good spin that will make your ball go in. Like no matter what, that you want that shooter's bounce, you want that great roll. Well, you have to put the spin on it right. And it's not coming off a couple guys on the Raptors' hands correctly right now to get that really friendly spin and roll to go down. So that's one of the things I'm wondering about with Pascal. And it's something that has been a problem for a couple of years now. It's one of the things that drives people crazy. They hate Pascal because they see him put this great shot up and then it like does a really weird roll and then rolls out. That's something I wish he could fix. If it's something that he's doing with his hand and just something with the spin, hopefully he can adjust and make it better. G saying this season is so unpredictable, makes it exciting. It really is. You got to think about how many Raptor fans have seen how bad we've been playing lately, and that we're going to play Phoenix last night. It's a West Coast time. It's Friday night. People are going to go out and make other plans. A lot of people probably did not even watch that game last night because they're like, well, they've been losing lately anyway. It's Phoenix. They're probably going to lose. So I'm just going to go out and we'll go to the movies, honey, and we'll have a nice time downtown. It's like you should have just stayed home and watched the game because the entertainment was on the television and stuff like that. But that's once again, that's the real ones from the ones that are just kind of casual. It separates them, stuff like that. So it is a very unpredictable season, though. You're exactly right. Let's keep going. Let's see. Sue's saying, good morning, everyone. Got to say, I was tired after that one. Kept me on a roller coaster of emotions. Amazing win. Yeah. I had a feeling, though, because the way we were playing them and dominating them, that we were going to win. And then really was going to get down to like managing it and just out vetting them at the end of the game. And we did. But it was an aggressive defense and coughing up those turnovers that were super key. And what you guys are pointing out about things that Scotty did at the end of the game and Gary and things like that, really, really, really good. Really good. Really good. Top saying Scotty played well. They look for him inside. Hopefully Malachi can keep up his play. When he comes back, Precious is also taking major steps. This is great development all around. Precious is scary. Like his potential is really scary. And like you see, once again, if they leave him open for three and he's in rhythm, he's going to hit that three. So it's like I have so much confidence in him as an offensive player going forward. Like I want to see more and more of what he's going to do. Like I love how aggressive he is going to the basket. Like we haven't had a player on the Raptors that attacks the basket like Precious Achiuwa in a long time. That's something like Vince Carter used to do. It's something like Kawhi might do here and there, not so much. Or maybe DeMar. He would try and attack the basket like Precious is doing right now. I love it. It's so, so good. And Scotty, listen, he's developing in different areas, whether it's with his defense, whether it's with his offensive, like low post stuff. And it's just more and more, we're seeing this great player that more and more is being revealed. And Malachi, hopefully he can come back and continue to be a part of the rotation. It's tough because when you get hurt like this, you got to kind of earn it all back again or get your spot earned again because the spot may not just automatically open up for him as soon as he gets healthy again, that kind of thing. So Banana Bread Tan saying top, I don't don't think that's fair. OG helps us space the floor better. Pascal's playing awesome considering the attention he's getting and the role we were playing him in. He is inefficient to a degree, Banana Bread Tan. I'm going to say that. He could obviously make more of his shots, and maybe some of them are really bad. That they look bad when he makes it. But you're right. Also, the spacing isn't as good with OG. OG is kind of like a guy who helps with physicality and things around there. The more of them that are there, it just helps everybody. Obviously, with Fred back, it helped Gary. It's helped, they help each other in so many different ways. So, I'll agree with both you guys that, OG will help us and Pascal has been inconsistent to a degree at times. But you know what? The one thing I say about Pascal and his consistency is at least he's averaging, 15 to 25 points is his range of consistency instead of being like 7 or 8 points to like 20 points consistency, something like that. His it's kind of shifted up. So we can expect at least double digits or 15 to 20 points from him, if not 25 plus points from him, something like that. So let's see. Kenrick saying Spice Man had 9 assists. He had 10 assists actually. He actually had 10 assists. He had one more. Sue saying at Cali, I was on the edge of my seat yelling at the TV when we were doing well and when we were struggling. Surprised I have a voice today. Sue was yelling at her TV last night. She's got a little hoarseness in her voice. Hey, that's good. That's good Friday night entertainment, y'all. Listen, you want to watch a movie that kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat and you're like, whoa, suspenseful. And then you want that great tie-in, that great like ending where it's just like, that was awesome. And we got that last night. And if we had lost the game like at the last minute by 1 point or something messed up, that would have sucked. But it would also been like the last game when we played them. We played them real well. We played them real close. We just didn't beat them. Well, this time we played them real good and we played them real close and we beat them. And that's the thing I love. We got the payoff for everything last night because it could have easily been something where we got screwed over or something like that. But we didn't let it happen. We didn't let it happen. We executed at the end. That's really a big part of it is execution. And the more and more we show, like I feel like our team is way ahead of where it would be if it was DeMar and Kyle in their cycle of growing, that they really had a hard time learning how to manage the end of the game to the win against the other teams. And our guys know it way better already, like Fred and Pascal. They understand this kind of stuff earlier in their career in some ways than DeMar and Kyle did when they were going through the process in the early 2010s. That our team is much more confident at the end of the games that we can close it out in a veteran way with less mistakes than the other team and execute. And that's what I love about this. And this is part of the reason why I think we're a lot closer to being a very high caliber NBA team is that we already show the signs of being able to manage late game situations. So that's really big deal. Callie's saying, Sue, it went from swearing to cheering. That's the best transition. From no swearing, go to cheering. It's so awesome. Kenrick saying, you can't take someone's landing space. That's what Zaza did to Kawhi. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. I mean, I understand what y'all are saying. Maybe they need to look at this some more and understand how players may be undercutting shooters in that kind of way to draw the offensive foul. That there's some sort of like counter reaction to the rule that they made this year. They like, no, they may get this call for hooking their arm around me or for kicking their leg out. And they're enticing and maybe initiating contact from the defensive end that'll make it look like there's an offensive foul. That's something they may need to look at also to counterbalance something that they made a rule change last summer about. Yeah, okay, I see what you guys are saying. And that was a horrible play, that Zaza with Kawhi that you just referenced, for sure. That was really bad. And that is probably one of the catalysts for what we're talking about. Seymour Pape says, Pascal draws a lot of attention. I love it. He just needs to be a little more patient. His spin layup is amazing. And when the lane is jammed, it's a kick out to Fred or Gary or Scotty and on the cut. We're hooping. Listen, this is the thing. We've been saying this. Pascal, read the defense. Figure out where the weakness is. Whether it's you backing down Devin Booker like you were doing last night and taking the smaller defender and beating them somewhere closer to the hoop, or noticing when you have two big guys coming at you or the doubles coming at you, you need to throw it away right away to somebody outside and trust in like Gary, Scotty, Freddie to hit these outside shots and stuff like that. I just want Pascal to continue to show growth with his instant decision making in these when he's got the ball and the doubles coming at him. It's really when he reacts and how he does it and who he gets it to that's really important in this. But yeah, I agree with this. The more he can be more aware of the court and stuff like that, the better. Because there are times when I feel like he's heads down or he's not aware that he has a guy who's open behind him that has a three-point shot and stuff like that. That's what I worry about with him, that he's too focused on possibly making his move, that he's not allowing for, okay, the defense is showing me I need to pass and I need to get it to somebody else right away. Jimmy's saying, I think we've yet to see Scotty's duo. Who he's going to be paired with. It could be somebody that comes to the team in the future. It could be, who knows? I think that he may be the point guard in the scenario, like Kyle and Fred, and not necessarily the other guy. He may be the other guy. He may be the facilitator. And it's crazy. Scotty and Precious could be wild. Yeah, if that is that era, if our era is going to be Scotty and Precious, they already kind of, they're rising stars together this year. There's been a lot of them kind of palling around and stuff like that. I can tell they have a connection together and stuff like that, shared things. And, yeah, why not? If we're going to be positionless, it may not be a standard point guard type of body guy, like a 6 foot guy like Fred. It could be that Scotty is the point guard. G saying Delano develops a mid-range game and him and Scotty will be difficult to guard. Yeah, Delano just needs to get his shooting more on par all around. His three-point shooting has been a little off lately. He hasn't been scoring as well near the end of the season now. He was much better at the beginning of the season, but once again, he's a rookie. He's a second round pick, and he's done very, very good job, and he's developing fantastic. We're seeing all kinds of great possible things from him. So, Top saying, I like Pascal. I think he has another gear, though he needs to show it and hit those bunnies. Yeah, the bunnies. They were driving me nuts too last night. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the spin thing just now. Yeah, but Pascal, honestly, once again, this is the thing. The thing about Pascal and Fred that is so important, I think, right now is that both of them are embracing the leadership role. Some people, it doesn't fit really well. Some people shirk it, or some people aren't comfortable with it. They don't like the extra pressure. They'd rather be a second banana and stuff like that. But Pascal has taken this weight on him to try and be the man, go out there, as he said at the beginning of the season, I'm going to be the man this year and carry us when he needs to. And then Fred doing the same kind of things in his area of kind of things that he needs to do to help lead us. And I love that these guys are natural at it and they're not shirking it. That they're embracing it and they're being these leaders that we need, because they're a huge factor in the reason why we win a game like last night, is that their leadership and their ability to step up and be those kind of leaders, whether it's like not necessarily scoring and with numbers. It's just the way they carry themselves, the way they hold each other accountable on the team as a whole, and things like that. That leadership is so good. And a lot of teams lack that kind of leadership. It may be that you have a weird mix of guys. You may have some vets that are really good and they do it, or maybe you don't have enough vets and it's kind of wishy-washy about which young or mid-career guys should be stepping up and being the leaders. We don't have these problems, and that's really good. That is really, really good. And Pascal is like DeMar. He's going to get better and better each year. That's the crazy thing. Like I keep saying in my head, he can't get much better than this. He's way, way further than we ever thought he would be, but he does. He continues to get the newer levels, higher levels as an NBA player. And that's why I think that, with Fred and Pascal, you don't get rid of these guys because they're continuing to just get better and better and better. Who knows where they'll be in 2 or 3 years? Like if we win like another championship and they're like a 2-time champion and they have that kind of confidence and swagger, and that they're just really dissecting the game and really intelligent about how they're going about things and just getting better and better and better and better with their decision making later in the game. That's what I'm talking about. They're already showing their winners at the end of the game. Let's see. Oh yeah, you guys are way ahead. I'll try and catch up. Banana Bread Tan saying, I disagree, bro. He's talking to Top. Yes, he's not been getting his shots to go in like before the All-Star game, but I think that's because right now he is very much about getting into rhythm. He does have another gear. He's not playing at the highest level that he could right now. He could be shooting way more efficient and better. We know that. If I always look at whether he shoots above 50% or not. Like if he has a 9 for 14 game, that's badass. But, then he has a 10 for 24 game like last night, and that's not as badass. And you can see where he could have possibly cleaned it up and made a couple of shots here. I'm not saying anything he's done is wrong because he's not taking away from us winning. It's just that he needs to make more of his shots. And that if he makes more of his shots, that helps us win better, easier. So that's kind of, I think that's the argument there with this thing, is that he can make his shots better. He's going to make his shots better from time to time, but sometimes he'll slump just slightly. But what I'm trying to say is his slumps are way better than they used to be. Like if you think about how badly he could slump in a game where he completely disappears and doesn't give us anything, those days are over. He's going to at least give us good defense. He's going to be rebounding. He's going to be active. He's going to be leading. He's going to be communicating. And he may not be making his shot, but he's doing so much more out there otherwise also. So once again, I agree with both you guys. I think that he can get to another level, but I also think he's playing at a very good level right now. So it's just going to be something, we'll see how it goes. Like he's going to have some really badass games before the end of this season where he's just going to dominate. And we're going to be like, whoa, especially like we play teams like Houston and Orlando again before the end of the season. He's going to come out and kick some ass. Jimmy Pope saying just spacing has been bad. People load up on Pascal, making it hard on him. Obviously, he's missing easy ones, but since it seems Gary is back, when OG gets back, it'll make things easier for him. Trust in it. Yes, Jimmy, you're right. Yes, speak the gospel. I totally agree with this. Like the more we have our team all together, the more we see that they all help each other with spacing, with just attention. They can really key on a couple of our guys. If we have like Fred and OG out, well, then they really key on Pascal and Gary, and they force the other guys on the team to play big and step up around them. And that was the problem with the losing streak recently is they really keyed on Pascal and Gary, shut them down, made it hard for them because they loaded up on them, like you're saying. And then the other guys, the bench just isn't good enough. We weren't manufacturing enough points. Gary was stone cold from the field. He was not shooting well at that time. So we had nothing. We had nobody. And that really was a part of what happened recently with our slide. Let's see. Seymour said, DeMar just mad his jersey ain't going up in the rafters. Laugh out loud. Salute, Kyle. He's the only jersey I want to see up there. Oh, come on, Seymour. Actually, I think DeMar will get up there also. He should get up there. If we're going to retire Kyle Lowry's jersey, which we will retire DeMar DeRozan's jersey also. They should be together. These guys are best friends. They have such an important legacy. DeMar DeRozan is a super, super important Raptor. He still is to this day. And you want to know what DeMar said in that interview also that I absolutely love? All right, there's a segment on How Hungry Are You where Serge gets cricket tea. Like he has a cup of nasty ass cricket tea with crickets in it. Some of them look like they're still moving around and shit. And well, DeMar was asked really tough questions. He has to answer or he has to drink the cricket tea. And one of the things he asked him was, who has the better fans, Canada or the US? And you know what DeMar said? He said the Canadian fans are the better fans. The more passionate fans are here in Toronto. And I love him for that. He just said that there's nothing that can match the feelings and things that he heard while he was a Toronto Raptor. And, he went to San Antonio. He's been in Chicago. Maybe things have been a little different since he's been with the Bulls. He's heard them a little bit more. But he said that. He said the Raptor fans, the Canadian fans, are the most passionate fans between the States and Canada. He made them choose, and he picked Canada, y'all. So don't get down on DeMar. He had some other decisions he had to make. He also picked Coach Casey over Coach Popovich, just so you know. He made him choose between the two of them, and he picked Casey as being more important to him than Coach Popovich in his career, which makes sense. But he made him choose all kinds of stuff. He chose Kobe over LeBron, of course, stuff like that. It was really, really great episode, honestly. And the friendship between Serge and DeMar is undeniable and so real. These guys love each other. You can tell. Like, DeMar was cracking on him. He's like, you were always so late to everything. You were the last one to get on the bus. We were always waiting for your ass, exfoliating and shit like that. And then when DeMar asked Serge, what do you have to say about me that's bad? Serge went, you know what? I have nothing bad to say about you. You were one of the nicest guys. And that if somebody says something bad about you, I punched them in the face. Oh my gosh, Serge Ibaka is the best. You can watch that in Canada on Sportsnet on their website if you want to watch the recent How Hungry Are You with DeMar DeRozan. So good, so good. But no, Seymour, DeMar's going to get his jersey up in the Scotiabank Arena. I want it up there. He deserves it, man. He really deserves it because in some ways he was the ultimate sacrifice for us to get that championship. And he deserves it. Kawhi will never get his jersey up in the Scotiabank Arena, but DeMar DeRozan will. And I hope he gets it before Vince, too, because Vince will eventually probably get his up there, too, at some point. But I want Kyle and DeMar to get their jerseys up in our arena first. They deserve it. They really do. Banana Bread 10, I feel like in the next couple of years, he will not have these kinds of issues. He used to not even score a lot of points in these kinds of games. I've seen Pascal show up more and more in crunch time. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that like he's still developing as a franchise player, as a premium scorer in the NBA. And what these guys do, this is the thing. If you're like Kobe, you're taking correction from taking direction from Kobe in his career, and you're DeMar, and then DeMar is getting people taking direction from him like Pascal, is that they have this work ethic that's passed down. Like Kobe's work ethic passed down to DeMar. DeMar passed it down to Pascal and Fred. And that's the thing. These guys don't rest. These are real professionals. They don't just take the check and then go have a good time like James Harden with Travis Scott and Lil Baby or whoever he's hanging out with in the Philadelphia nightclubs after getting beat. No, these guys aren't doing that. They don't just take the money and run. They are going and working as professionals in their off time to get better. They go in the off season and they do new wrinkles to their game so that they get better. And Pascal, some ways in the last couple off seasons, even though he had an injury last season and was rehabbing, he had gains to his game in the off season from working with Earl Watson and doing the Rico Hines stuff. So when he goes this off season, and hopefully he's healthy this whole off season, he can really work on and tool some stuff and tinker with really specific things like his footwork, things with his hand, like I was just talking about, all this kind of stuff. He can change and get a new bag of tricks in the off season. That's the thing. That's why DeMar is continuing to get to new and new levels of his game, like his clutch and his just the way he plays. And that's why people in Chicago love him. They feel like he's like the closest thing to Jordan they've had in the Chicago area since Jordan is DeMar DeRozan. And that's purely because of his work in his game for years. He could have easily stopped working on his game at some point because he got big money and did this and did that. But no, he continues to grow. He continues to get better. And he is the guy who influenced our guys. Fred and Pascal. And that's what I'm saying. They have good role models. And if that's the way that these guys work, like Kobe, where they just every year they come in and they work and they work and they work and they get better and better, better, better until their body gives out on them because it's just that they got older. They're going to get better. And these guys that we have are only 27, 28. They're so young. They got like 7 or 8 years of continuing to get way better. And they're already really good. That's the stuff I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, let's see. And Banana Bread 10 saying also this narrative of Pascal not wanting the smoke is old, in my honest opinion. It is changing before our eyes. Yeah, yeah. He's not shying away from anything. He knows he needs to be the man. He said at the beginning of the year, I am ready to be the man for this team and carry it. You know, both of these guys, Fred and Pascal, had to accept new roles with this team this year with Kyle gone. And one of them was being that scorer and leader on the court by your play, and that's Pascal. And then the other one is that leader as far as directing things and keeping guys accountable, and that's Fred. And that's the thing. These guys have taken these responsibilities and they haven't shrunk away from them. They are really, really embracing them and they're excelling in those roles. And that's what I love. That's what I really, really love. And I think you're right, Banana Bread, that is an old narrative. That is something that maybe idiots thought because he was not successful at times in clutch moments or when we put pressure on him. Oh, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. Well, he does fucking want it. He will take it and he will be successful. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Jimmy Pope saying those precious threes have me so hyped. I know they're just like a extra on the side. Like you get a dinner and you say, "Whoa, this came with some bread." Ooh, bread. You know, it's like it's pretty cool to see that Precious can be doing this. And you know, I really like the way he attacks the basket. This is something that's going to be developed and figured out more and more to be utilized and capitalized on in different ways. And I'm excited about the prospects of the future for him and Scotty in developing their offensive games. It's just going to be nasty. Scott, good to see Scott. I haven't seen you in a bit, Scott B. Pascal has been by far the most consistent Raptor since his return. Can't believe that anyone can still question his greatness. Well, they may just look at the stats. Like if you look at the stats from last night, he was 10 for 24. Could have shot better. Could have done this better. Maybe he had too many turnovers. You know, he had 2 turnovers. It's not that bad. No, I think I completely agree with you, Scott. I think he has been super consistent. Everybody that we have, he's the one person we can count on night in, night out. Like even Fred didn't really show up that much last night, but he did important things for us to win. But yeah, I think you agree that I agree he's consistent. He's the consistent guy. Geez, they are developing Pat Precious like a version of Surge. Yeah, I can see a little bit of that, the Surge kind of thing in him. I still think that Precious has more ball handling and stuff than Surge has, obviously. And that Surge, once again, he's not really a guy who would attack the basket like Precious can. Precious can go at the basket and just what like the way he wants to. Surge really has such a slow first step. Like when you see Surge about to make his move to try and drive the basket, you know he's coming because he starts swinging his leg and so Precious will step and go right real quick. And that's a difference between those two with their offensive games. I think that Serge is much more limited than Precious Achiuwa. Serge, you got to remember, Serge in his first 10 years in the NBA was really a defensive player. He did not have much of an offensive game. He developed his jump shot at the top of the key over the years, and he became more and more of a scorer. When he first started Oklahoma City, he only averaged like 7 points a game, and he was really just a shot blocker and a rebounder. He was really nasty at that. He was never really considered an offensive dude until later in his career. And in fact, in Toronto, more so. It was really starting in Orlando, but then in Toronto, we opened it up and made Serge more of a scorer in some ways. Let's see. Scott B saying we destroyed the first place NBA team without OG and against the refs too. I won't say we did it against the refs because honestly, they actually helped us last night. I will admit this. That, like, if I'm going to say that the refs hurt us in games, I have to be fair and say when they did help us. And they definitely were on our side last night. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. Maybe the NBA felt like Phoenix had too many wins, or like I said, they were rewarding the team that was showing the most energy, running around on the court the most, doing the most on the court. They reward that team, and that was us last night. So the Phoenix Suns fans are all saying that they got robbed last night, that the refs robbed them and that they stole the game. They're not even going to probably give us credit for beating them. They're going to say that the refs beat them and stuff like that. So yeah, I wouldn't say that like they helped us. I mean, I wouldn't say that they hurt us, the refs. I think that the refs actually helped us more than they hurt us last night for sure. Tabatop saying, I think Pascal is a good player, but I find myself wanting him to pass the ball to Gary or Fred in clutch. But sometimes it seems he doesn't want the smoke, and they do. The one thing about this that I'll say is that it's kind of predictable that Pascal will take the ball at the end of the game. So maybe in some ways he should be looking for those other guys in some ways because they will really key on him at the end to make sure that he isn't the one beating them. And it's that kind of thing. I agree in some ways with this because I want Pascal to pass it more myself. This is something I keep saying. Okay, at the beginning of the game, we saw a fantastic play between Pascal and Scotty that got a really easy basket. There was a give and go almost right away from the beginning of the game. You saw that little play where they passed it into the lane and then he passed it right back out and then he put it in. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, playing off of each other like that. And at the late game situation, the thing I don't like is when Pascal dribbles up, he's at the top of the at the 3-point line, and he just holds it there for a second. And it seems like he's wasting time and nothing's happening. I want the ball to keep moving. I want the players to keep moving. That's the thing. I don't like it when he stands there. And Fred does it too sometimes, where they stand there for like 5 seconds or something like that of the shot clock. Get engaged and get going. I know maybe it's part of this timing and spacing of how they want to run the offense for that play, but it bugs me because it really gives the defense a rest for a second, like where they're just kind of, okay, we'll stand here for a sec while you're kind of scoping things out. That's the thing that bugs me is when he's kind of takes too much time standing there. Just standing there. Don't do that. And we just talk about him wanting the smoke. He wants the smoke. He'll take the smoke. He said it already. He said he's listening to Les Brown. He's talking about like materializing success in his life and stuff like that. He's not afraid to take the smoke. He's not afraid to shoot the last shot. He's ready for it. And actually, he has a really good attitude about whether he makes it or not. In fact, he has the kind of attitude about making the shot at the end of the game that's the best one that you can have. Is that in some ways he doesn't beat himself up. He knows that they're going to fall eventually, that it's a work in progress. And that if he does fail in clutch times, he's not taking it to heart and it's not beating him up with his confidence. He just understands, well, sometimes I'm going to be successful and sometimes I'm not. I'm going to work on my game so that more often I will be successful. And that's the way he looks at it. And he's honestly he's ready and he will take the smoke. So don't believe that he's shying away from taking that pressure and being the man and getting that the jeers or the cheers for it. He's already gotten shat on so much for missing huge shots and not being clutch, whether it was in the bubble, whether it was different times last season, that, he's been through it. It's not anything new. So why would he be scared of missing and failing and getting all the hell from that? Because he's already been getting it. It's already there. Scott B saying, not sure what you were watching, but I see Pascal calling on Devin Booker in the fourth. Isn't he an all-star? A lot of shit talking in different ways out there on the court and stuff like that. It was fun to see Bismack and Pascal buddies at the end of the game. And Gary really, really, listen, he was a killer last night. Like I said, he could have easily gotten his head out of the game because of the technicals, because of the way things went like at that point. But he was really calm, cool, and collected. And then on the reverse, the team that's supposed to be the best team in the league, the best record, they're melting down. They're having issues with the refs. They're letting the issues with the refs get them out of their game. We just were really successful. We did some things last night like an old school Eastern Conference team would do, like the Miami Heat or the Pistons or the Knicks of the olden days that were real physical. They came out there, they punched them in the face, didn't let them have anything easy, and that's how we won. We played Eastern Conference style basketball against a Western Conference team, and it won out last night. That was a lot of it right there. Alistair saying it could be Scotty and two others instead of one. Yeah, it could be a whole collect. I mean, in a way, it really is kind of Pascal, OG, and Fred. The three of them are kind of like Kyle and DeMar from before. We have a three-man kind of like pairing that's going on right now. So Callie's saying, hope we come out strong and aggressive tonight, have energy. You know what? I should do the preview. We've been talking a lot about this game already. It's going to be a long stream anyway, because I'm going to have to get to the point with talking about the game tonight. I think we'll do all right. We played Denver well, too. We got to remember how much the refs really hurt us in the game against Denver. They were awful. They're as bad as Phoenix Suns think that the refs were last night for the game against us. They were really bad. And it was an Ed Malloy game. It was an Ed Malloy game where he came out and he really directed things and helped Jokic specifically. He was getting calls like Luka Doncic, where it's just a golden boy kind of thing, where if you breathe on him, he goes to the line. He's making these and ones, these little spins and different things like that. We played them really well, and we had a chance to win that game. There's just a couple of little things that we messed up on. If I remember correctly, we missed some free throws in that game. If I remember correctly, the referees, once again, were not good to us. So if we can have a little bit of different outcomes, like some of the things that are going to be issues tonight is a back-to-back, and it's the Mile High City. This is a lot, really seriously, because we just played a game against Phoenix. We're going to feel good because we're riding on a high. But we could be tired tonight too. So I really hope that we get more of our bench involved and spread the minutes out depending on how guys are feeling. And then also we need to jump out on them and really play similar to how we played last night. Be the aggressor, hit them in the face first, be the guys who are getting to all the loose balls, all the rebounds and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously we got to stop their 3-point shooting. We cannot let them have any good 3-point shooting. Let me look at their injuries real quick, y'all, because there are interesting injuries for them right now. They got a guy named Najee who's questionable for tonight. Bones Highland is probable. He was an issue in the last game off the bench as a point guard. Aaron Gordon is probably not going to play tonight, guys. He's questionable. His foot's messed up. Will Barton, who's another good player for them, he's questionable for tonight. And then obviously Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Kankar, they're still all out. So they're missing key guys, and they're not totally full strength. And hopefully we can capitalize on these kind of things. Obviously, Jokic is a huge problem. We're going to need to really try and contain him well. I like that Kem Birch started last night against Ayton. I'd like to see that continue tonight. Don't mess around with that. Keep Kem Birch in the starting lineup with OG out and let him really try and handle Jokic one-on-one as best as he can. Because in the last game that we played Denver, what they did, we fucked up with, is we were doubling Jokic too much, and he was passing out of the doubles and killing us. Yeah, if we can get away with playing Jokic one-on-one a lot tonight, just really body him and try and cause problems. Other guys can kind of swipe at him from just the side, but don't do a full double. Just kind of swipe at him if he comes near you. and let one guy body up with him and play him straight up. And even Scotty could be one of these guys that does this tonight because he likes this. He wants this challenge against the name guys. One of the things he did last night was he backed down Devin Booker because he wanted to score on him in the low post, and he did. He backed Devin Booker down, and now he can say, I scored on Devin Booker down low. He wants to do this shit that people like Jokic also. So I want to see Scotty possibly also, like whether it's Precious, Kem, or Scotty, those three guys, not Chris, those three guys bodying up and playing one-on-one defense with Jokic tonight. Because that's a huge thing that they do is they get the double on Jokic and he passes out of it so masterfully. It's an easy basket. And that's what killed us last game against them is that he would pass it off to Aaron Gordon. He'd have a dunk underneath because we were doubling him. So I want to see if they try and just play him one-on-one. That because we could do that and still mess him up with our length. Even with just people kind of swiping at him like fidget spinners from the side and kind of knocking the ball loose. I think we can do well with to do that. But one-on-one on Jokic tonight, that's what I want to see. All right, let me see what else you guys are saying. Wow, this is fun. Lots of good topics and things we're talking about today. Yeah, that's Callie's last one saying, Banana Bread Tan saying, I get what you mean, top, but look at what Pascal has been doing. We haven't seen the end of Pascal's evolution. So excited about this team. Yeah, kind of what I was just saying about the development and his direction he takes from DeMar DeRozan, which he takes from Kobe Bryant. Scott B saying, it's the Raptors, honestly. It could be anyone. That's what makes the Raptors great. We keep them guessing. Yes, we don't know which shark is going to come up out of the water and bite the boat. It could be any one of them. It could be Precious. It could be Freddie. It could be Gary. It could be Scotty. It could be Pascal. When OG comes back, he has some clutch factors to him too. So, yeah, I love it. Scott's saying, you're right. Pascal is already unstoppable, only getting better. He definitely has more, but I will never doubt him. That's the thing, man. Masai and Bobby are keeping the guys that they know that are going to continue to develop and get better and better. They're not keeping around guys where they feel like they're hitting their ceiling, where they're like, I love Norman. Norman developed into who he is right now, but how much more is Norman going to get better than where he is right now at this point? And that's the thing. They can recognize this in players. And the players that have a whole lot of potential are the ones they like to hold on to. And especially if they're showing like a work ethic and a way of developing themselves that allows for an even greater space. Because it's like some guys can be all the talented in the world, but they won't develop anywhere because they're knuckleheads. They come to the league and they just coast on what they already know, and they don't become great pros. That's the thing. You need people that want to work. People that want to self-improve and get better and better. And part of it is for their own selfish reasons to be better and get better payouts, but they're also doing it for the team. And maybe they're developing things that they want to, that personally, that are in a vision with the team in concert. That like, oh, well, the team needs me to get better at three-point shooting this offseason, so I'm going to go get better at that kind of stuff, like DeMar did. What years ago he got better at three-point shooting because we were like, oh, you go shoot some threes, and then he got a three-point shot all of a sudden. Stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. Where guys maybe all of a sudden they come back and they start shooting with their offhand more, and they start making more offense off their offhand, which totally throws people off because they've scouted them for years and like, oh, he goes to his right all the time, but then all of a sudden he comes back from the offseason, he's going to his left. That's the kind of new wrinkle kind of stuff that I'm talking about that these guys will do within their game. So Criscom saying, huge win. I called it. Raps by 4. So you did nail it. Great, Criscom. That's right. You did that prediction at the beginning of the preview yesterday. I remember that. And you were right, man. Good job. I want to see what you say about tonight, man. So go ahead. Next. Yes. Scott's saying, what about Alvin doing dead silent on the broadcast after Precious sinking his dagger 3? You can hide the hate, Alvin. Bring back Jack. Oh, my gosh. I didn't listen to the Raptor guys last night. I couldn't get their stream, so I was listening to the Phoenix announcing crew last night. They were salty. They were a little weird. I like Eddie Johnson. I used to like the way he played, but he really kind of was being salty last night, a little weird and stuff like that. Alvin is still work in progress. He's still kind of a rookie announcer. This is his first year full time as color. And, he's going to be up and down. I think that in some ways they've kind of, it's dumb for the season. People have kind of been like, Precious shouldn't be shooting threes. Like they were that way at the beginning of the season. When he started shooting threes, everybody was like, whoa, he shouldn't do that. Like, what is he doing? He shouldn't shoot threes. So there's still some people in this camp that think that it's fundamentally wrong for Precious to be trying to shoot threes. And it's just that they have a box in their own head about limiting themselves. And it's not that way with the coach or with Precious. Like Nick Nurse doesn't give a shit if he's hitting threes, obviously, because he's hitting them and it's been great. We're developing him into a 3-point shooter. But at the beginning of the season, there was backlash when Precious took threes. They're like, oh, no, don't do that. No, Precious, don't shoot threes. Well, I'm like, yeah, give him the green light because he's hitting them at the same kind of percentage that everybody else is. It could be that Alvin's still kind of a little bit of a holdover from that period of time at the beginning of the season when people were kind of on this train where Precious shouldn't be a 3-point shooter, but he should be. He's obviously shown it and proved that he can be. His percentage is really good. So I don't know. I didn't hear that part with Alvin. I love Alvin. Like, listen, his jersey's right here next to my wall. I met him twice in real life. He's just a badass, awesome person. And I won't diss Alvin. I want him to be so good at announcing next to Matt. You know, they're going to have different teams for TSN and Sportsnet. He's the Sportsnet guy. You got to think about this way, Scott. Would you rather have Alvin calling the game or Leo Routens? That's the difference, because if it's not Alvin, it would probably be Leo still. So I'm much happier with Alvin, a guy who played really important time for the Raptors on the court and stuff like that. And I give him a lot of leash because he's still learning things. He's not really perfect or good in some ways, but he's like, the thing about him is the intangibles about his experience, his stuff that he played with Vince in an important time when the Raptors were first getting in the playoffs and just stuff like that. Like, he knows Gary Trent Sr. from playing with him. He knows a lot of the people involved around the Raptors for years, since the 90s. So I give him a lot of leash as an announcer, but I'd have to hear that part to understand it. So yeah, but Jack's great too. Matt and Jack, since they've been back, it's been fantastic. It's been such a huge buoy to our spirits to have them back. Matt specifically. Matt Devlin is becoming one of my favorite Raptor announcers of all time. Like, he's really getting up there with Chuck Swirsky at this point. Like, this season, he's been badass. Tom Duke is saying, looking forward to getting OG back too. Let's go. Tom Duke's here. So that must mean I might have to do the mascot matchup of the day very soon. Oh my gosh. Gary said, sky's the limit with the Raptors. Yeah, Gary understands what's going on here, because this is the thing. Gary, as a young child, was taught what development is by his dad. His dad came and sat him down when he was very young. He said, I want to develop you into an NBA player. Do you want to do this? He's like, yeah. And then he went to work. So it's instilled in Gary since he was a kid. Like, he doesn't know anything else in some ways. That his way of life is developing and getting better as a basketball no matter what. That is his purpose on this earth. He really looks at it this way. And that's why he's like, this guy is really the limit with this collection of talent and the way this team is, and with the coach that they have. Like, if you had a more limiting coach, a coach that didn't have a vision, a coach that wasn't gutsy and would do crazy stuff, like positionless basketball and different things like that, it may be limited in that way. So the coach isn't going to hold him back. The organization isn't going to hold him back. And the players amongst themselves are not going to hold each other back. And that's the reason why the sky's the limit, is because we're not getting held back by, dumb shit that other teams are getting held back by, whatever it is. We have a lot of easy, good things happening in our team that allow for success and actually launch us towards it instead of holding us back from it. So yeah, sky's the limit. Keep going. Ceiling's higher and higher. Every time we see Precious and Scotty do some new wrinkle, the ceiling gets higher. Oh, yeah. Top saying, Banana Bread, I do think Pascal has another gear. It will be interesting to see how he and the team respond in the postseason. I want to see in some ways between the guys like Pascal, Scotty, OG, Fred, Gary. I want to see somebody who just decides they want to be like as dominant as Kawhi can be. And I think Scotty or Pascal is the closest to this. And it's really this kind of guy who's going to come down and help us have like a 10 or 20 point swing for us, whether it's like at both ends of the court with the defense and then they're scoring. They're just so unstoppable in scoring and dominant that they come down and they score like 10 straight points and nobody else scores anything on the rest of the court. None of their teammates, nobody on the other team. Is just 10 straight. We've seen streaks like this by certain Raptor players at different times. Gary did it at some point where he had like a 10-point streak. Nobody else scored on the court. Pascal's done something like that. I think Scotty has even had like an 8-point streak where nobody else scored on the court. And that's what I'm saying. I want to see that kind of dominance, that kind of level of dominance, that Pascal could get to that level. He's probably the closest out of everybody. But Scotty's shown that maybe he can do it now already too, like in bursts, like where he just completely takes over the game for 6 minutes of it, where he's like so dominant at both ends of the court, where he's like causing blocks and steals. And then at the other end, he's putting in these short bankers, these little hook shots. He's hitting a three, he's driving and dunking. He's dominating at both ends. I want to see that from one of these guys. And it could be a different guy on different nights, like we said. But that kind of domination, that kind of level of getting to is what I'm saying, where you dominate for like 6 minutes, a half of a quarter of the game. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That kind of dominating. Let's see. Top saying Masai will make his decisions on the court based on postseason performance, as he should. Yeah, postseason's important, but also just the development over the course of the whole year. And some of these bench guys are not going to get to play much in the playoffs. We know this. They may get spot duty and they may get like opportunities to come out and do something. They really need to take that ring and go with it. But yeah, it's really going to be what the potential is and things and how they're growing and who's doing what and what and how we can improve to get to the next level in what ways and stuff like that. They're so smart. I have so much trust. I know we say this all the time, trust in Masai, trust in Bobby, but they are so astute and so smart and so planned out. Like the way when you hear Bobby and Masai talk about the plans for the Raptors, they have a 1-year plan, they have a 2-year plan, they have a 5-year plan, they have a 10-year plan. They are thinking way, way out in long term. And that's the thing that's going to make us badass for like a decade. Is that these guys are sketching it all out and thinking about all the possibilities with the different things with the salaries and where guys are in their careers and how they might have to do things with the cap and to keep things and what they want to do. They're already thinking about all this stuff 5 or 10 years out from where they are right now. That's what I'm saying. They're really smart. Some guys, some GMs and their way they run their team, they're really going by the skin of their teeth and just kind of reactionary, like what they had to do with the Harden Simmons trade this year. Is more like that, where these guys can actually plan and guide and have a vision and work towards it instead of making deals just for the sake of making deals, getting rid of problems, or just like, oh, we need to do this because there's pressure on us to make a deal or something like that. No, these guys are smart. They have a very organized plan and they're executing it. That's what's going on. And that's a huge underlying strength that the Raptors have as a franchise, is that we have really good cooks in the kitchen that are steering the boat. Let's see. Banana Bread Tan saying DeMar DeRozan is the American that bought into our culture. He identified with us so much. I hope we retire his jersey. Would be cool if him and Kyle did one more stint with us. Yeah, somebody was saying, because DeMar did say if he came back to Toronto, Kyle would have to be here. Well, somebody was saying, well, let's make a retirement tour for you guys right at the end of y'all's careers. Let's get you guys on 1 years, both of you, for 1 year, and you could be in here with the current crew, whoever it is, and have fun and just be these vets on our bench trying to win one more title with our team. Yeah, that would be a dream. I would love to see this also, Banana Bread. But this may be something that happened like 3 or 4 or 5 years, like down the road. It could happen. Who knows? Of course, they got to take pay cuts. But the way DeMar was talking to Serge in that episode, he's basically saying, like, I will take less money to do situations that I will enjoy and have fun with. And he even was like outright saying it, like, I will take a 10 to 15% pay cut to go play with Kyle in Toronto over Chicago, is what he was saying. He was saying shit like that on there. It was crazy. I couldn't believe how open DeMar was being. And it's so undeniable, his love for this city, even though Masai did him wrong and we sent him away before we won our championship. His connection, his bond to Toronto and love for Toronto is always going to be there. And when he retires, he's going to be back in Toronto a lot, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, he's not going to be like Vince. He's going to be the kind of guy that comes back and embraces his fandom and the people that love him on this side of the border. Because that's one of the things I don't like about Vince and Bosch is they've forgotten about our country. They don't have much to do with Toronto or the Raptors in many ways since they've left. They're more attached to other teams in some ways. Like he's more a net and Bosch is more of a Heat guy. at some points. And like, I don't think DeMar is that way in some ways. Even if he wins a title with Chicago, it may change it a little bit. He's always going to be a Raptor at his heart because that's where he learned. And he really honors his legacy and his history. And that's why he picked Coach Casey over Popovich. He said, I would never be who I am right now if it wasn't for Coach Dwayne Casey. And that's what he's saying. He honors and realizes how much Toronto built him to be who he is. And he honors that. He doesn't dispute it. He doesn't take credit for it. Oh, I did it. He knows that this team that we root on and we love is a huge part of his legacy and his history. And he doesn't dismiss it like people like Vince or Chris Bosh might to a degree. And I think that'll be a big difference. And we'll see it when he retires. G saying Serge is the best. Yeah, isn't he? He's such a crazy. One of the things they do on that show is he makes them call like supposedly their best friend, and if they don't answer the phone, they have to drink the cricket tea. And so he had to call Kyle blind, and if Kyle didn't answer the phone, he was going to have to drink the cricket tea. And that part in itself was gold. Oh my gosh. I won't tell you what happened. You just got to watch the episode. I don't want to be a total spoiler. Go watch the episode and see if Kyle picked up the phone and see what happened. Because it's hilarious. It's so good. Oh my gosh. The Raptor lover is really there. And the thing is, you can tell, even though these two guys, Serge and DeMar, have nothing to do with the Raptors anymore, you can tell they still really love the city of Toronto and the Raptors franchise. They really do. Even Serge, you can tell the love he has also. Obviously, he won a championship. And when they're talking about how, this is what DeMar said also. He says he roots us on. He roots for the Raptors from afar, is what he said, because his guys are Fred and OG and Pascal, and these guys, these are his dudes, and he loves them. And Serge is the same. You could tell that the love for our guys that I just named, is huge among these former Raptors that are other places right now. They all love Pascal and Fred. They're like rooting for them. I loved hearing that DeMar roots for Toronto to win if he's not playing them. He does. He roots for us to beat every other team that we play. So it's great. It's really great. Yeah, Serge is not a Clipper anymore. He's actually a Buck. He's actually on Milwaukee at this point. He got cut by the Clippers or he got traded. He got traded to Milwaukee around the trade deadline. So he's actually on the Milwaukee Bucks right now. Alistair's saying, can't wait for the postseason. Pascal's going to become a legend off of this one. That's going to be interesting. This is the really thing. This is how you make yourself a hero. This is how you make yourself a star. You take that smoke and you excel and you execute and you win in clutch time. And you do clutch things. You do things like what Kobe used to do. You do things like what Michael used to do. And that is what will get you that notoriety, the big bag, the all-star appearances, the rookie of the year. That is the stuff that will get you that. And who knows? It could be Scotty gets like a Kawhi playoff mode and he becomes a monster all of a sudden. And like, oh my gosh, I hope that the rookie of the year voting is into the playoffs and we can see Scotty blow up and become like the front runner and the main guy that they have to give the rookie of the year to, just because he's playing in such a way that's dominant and doing such good things for the Toronto Raptors. All right, let's see. Pascal has way more room to grow, and he will. It's fine-tuning. It's like we see his mistakes and his problems with his game. He's going to fix them. He's going to get better and better. He's going to get more efficient. We know this because we saw the process with DeMar. When DeMar was at Toronto, he failed so much in his early years. He had to learn the sting of missing the game winner. He had to learn the sting of missing too many free throws during the game and how that led to him losing by just 2 points. Those are the important lessons. And it seems like this season's such a weird fucking season. It's all condensed into this year. Some of like 3 years of developing that Kyle and DeMar may have went through, like from 2011 to 2014 or something like that, is all in 1 year, where you get the wins against big teams like last night, but you also take the shitty losses against really shitty teams. You have all these close games. You're winning close games against veteran good teams, but you're losing close games to shitty teams also. We're getting a mixed bag of that whole bit of development, but it's weird because the top, what we're seeing is way high, really advanced development. And then the low is just like, well, we shat the bed and we had a really bad game and we're a team in development. And we get reminded of that sometimes. So it's really weird. When you look at the high point, where the high tide is with what we're doing right now. It is really good. Because honestly, teams like us shouldn't be sniffing wins against teams like Phoenix, like last night. That should not be happening in the way the NBA used to be. A team that's number one in the West, they play at a certain level and they beat everybody. And this did not happen last night for certain reasons. And they're very interesting. And it may be partly the intersection of what the NBA is about to become and what the NBA has been. That the Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks are more like what the NBA has been, and we are the future. And we're showing like this new physicality, the positionless stuff is the future, and it doesn't reconcile that we will beat that old NBA style. When we get even better and better and better, we will beat that every night just because of the fundamentals. And we play at a high level and we make more of our shots than we miss because we're playing in a way where we can win games and still shoot shitty, which is insane. Because if we shoot well and we play that way, then we're really going to win, right? So it's like, that's the logic, right? So Banana Bread Tan saying, agreed. Looking forward to see how this team does in the postseason. I'm just excited that we're going to get some meaningful postseason, that we're here in Toronto. We'll have the fans and we won't be some Tampa bullshit. That's why I was really happy we didn't make the playoffs last year, even if it looked bad. And it allowed the NBA media to slot us way down again at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Well, that's not who we were. This is the same kind of shit when David Robinson was injured for a season and they got Tim Duncan. We were hurt and had one down year, and we're still the same playoff badass team we were before the Tampa year. And it's just we've morphed a little bit. And in some ways, I think we've improved in our morph into the kind of Raptor team that we're going to be in the future. It's going to be really interesting. Scott's saying DeMar deserves his jersey retired. He always shows love for us, and Toronto will always love him. He really does. Like, honestly, even more so since he left San Antonio. I think because he's now happy and in a situation that's really good, and like he's competing and like there's really good things happening. He's more open about being past the hurt from that summer and that deal to get Kawhi, that he is actually feels more comfortable really talking about how much he truly does love Toronto and that it's such a special place for him. You think about when he came here, he was a kid from Compton. He'd never been to Canada. He didn't even know he needed to wear a jacket in the cold. He got sick when he first came to Toronto because he was a California kid that didn't know how to dress warm for winter weather. And so it's like, look how far he's come from. And, you know, it's pure love. It's pure love. If he ever goes into the NBA Hall of Fame, he will be a Raptor in the NBA Hall of Fame. I don't care if he wins a championship with the Bulls. He'll still be a Raptor. I'll watch. He will. Yeah, Toronto always love him. Always love him. Seymour saying the race between Cleveland and Toronto is the Rookie of the Year race as well. That's a very interesting observation. And maybe we should look at it this way. Maybe Scotty's looking at it this way. That's why I was so disappointed when we lost to them last weekend, that we really need to get Cleveland. We get them one more time before the end of the year. And that's a March 24th or something like that. So it's in like when we get back from the West Coast trip, we're going to be playing Cleveland one more time before the end of the season. So that could be a really important game because of what you're saying, Seymour, that this could be the showcase, the final showdown between Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes, and who can shine more in that head-to-head matchup. It could give some real good ammunition to one of them for getting, steam to get that award. We'll see. G saying that's what I meant, the scoring part with Precious and Serge, mid-range and threes. Yeah, like his I would like to see him block more shots like Serge does, but it just seems like he does block shots and he can, but he doesn't have that instinct. It's not the instinct that Serge has. It's maybe just that the opportunities as often, because it seemed like Serge blocks a lot of shots, and Precious's block shots could maybe go up. But that's the big difference I see right there. And like I said, the handles. The handles is a really big difference. Serge had no business dribbling the ball around the court at all. Like he really no. And that's the big difference. It's like Precious can dribble the ball and be a ball handler to a degree also. So G saying refs were equally bad and good, except the Precious flagrant and the Payne flop. Yeah, you know what? I like to think that they were real nice to us. And maybe it was because I was listening to the Phoenix announcers and they were like, oh, they're being so horrible to us. And I was like, yeah, we're finally getting good calls. Yes, Leon Wood. Woo, woo. But listen, it all evens out. We get bad, shitty games where we get bad reffing. We get good reffing sometimes, and maybe we get a little bit more of the favor. It all evens out in some ways. And, I'd rather it be where the refs just aren't a factor at all. We can't say that they helped or hurt us. And some night games, it has been like that. But last night, I would actually have to say and admit that they did help us. They did help us in net more than they hurt us, for sure. Let's see. Seymour saying Raptors want to put hands on Booker. The Raptor wants to put his hands on Booker. Well, listen, man. Maybe Booker needed the Raptor to be there so that he would have more gumption to play better. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. That's hilarious. Okay, let me keep going. Wow, you guys are way ahead. I'm gonna definitely start reading this faster. Banana Bread 10. Do you think we'll play Fred VanVleet tonight? He looked less good last night. I worry he came back early because he felt he had to. Yeah, we'll play him. He's fine. Listen, last night was not he wasn't that bad last night. Actually, he played within the flow of the game. He was fine. He was directing things. He kind of, like I said, on the download was kind of controlling the pace and controlling things at the end of the game to help us win. He's definitely going to play tonight, and he's fine. He actually looks better than he did before the All-Star break. His health, it looks better. It just, some nights he's not as going to be as counted on. Last night was really heavy with Gary. Gary was really heavy. Like he got his career high last night for the first, like, what did he get? 40 exactly? I think he hadn't had 40 yet. That was his career high or something. So let's see. Gary should have had 48 last night. Yeah, he could have easily in some ways, maybe. Once again, it's efficiency. It's the same kind of thing with Pascal. Is like he could be more efficient and he with his shooting and making the shot, and he'll make more points. Obviously, that's just that's the way it works. You're more efficient making your shots, you make more points. So I think Gary could be more efficient. Like, it's the kind of thing where he had 17 in the game against San Antonio. He showed a little more efficiency with making his shot at a higher percentage, and then he has 40. So he could do even better, is what you're saying, Scott. And yeah, I agree. He could do even better and get up to 50. I think he's going to get a 50-point game in the next 2 years. Yeah, he will. He will. It won't be just like LeBron getting all these 50-point games this week. Gary Trent Jr. is going to get a 50-point game. Seymour saying, my boy plays for Montana State. They won yesterday. Look him up. Abdul Muhammad. All right, I'll check him out. Let's see if he's Canadian. Oh, awesome. You actually know him. That's pretty cool. It's cool when you know somebody who's kind of in the NBA. I used to know a couple NBA players. Sue saying the issue with the Suns is that they are a pretty young team, and because they have been doing so well, they don't know how to perform as well when struggling a bit, especially without Paul. So wheels off at the end. Yeah, I think this is all very true, Sue, that they are deceivingly a young team in some ways. They do have some vets that are pretty important, but Chris Paul is obviously the most important one. And that they're a little bit of a boat without a rudder without Chris Paul there in some ways. He really does help them on court in instant decision making, help them close out games. And we're lucky that he didn't play last night. In some ways, if Chris had played last night, the game might have been a different way that went. But hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda, just win, and we got it. That's all that matters. Scott B saying, we put Joker on the line 20 times last game we played. Hopefully he doesn't get so many ticky-tack fouls tonight. Yeah, we probably should expect it because it's just normal with him this year. They're really, really like wanting to build his legend. I mean, I understand all these stats point to him being the most dominant player in the NBA right now. He should be clear-cut and head above the rest, the MVP of the season, because his win share, his defensive impact, his offensive impact, they're really high. And one of the things is the refs like to take care of stars like that, and we just kind of touch them on the arm or something like that. They're going to call it. So, like I was saying earlier, I really want to see if we can play him straight up one-on-one. I don't want to see us double him too much. Like if we really try and guide him to places on the court, obviously not too close to the basket, keep him outside body-wise, and just keep one guy on him as much as possible, we may have some good success tonight. This is something I'm thinking about for the keys to victory, is try and play one-on-one against Jokic, because people double him and that's how he burns them. But because of our length, it may be that one guy, I mean, Kemp could probably body him and hold him pretty good. Scotty, once again, I think he has the strength, and he's the kind of crazy guy that wants to take that challenge of playing Jokic one-on-one. I expect we'll see Scotty Barnes guarding Jokic by himself. at different times tonight. Seriously, I know that sounds crazy, but I seriously see that happening. And they may get their fouls really earned tonight. Like, if we're going to foul Jokic, make him pay. Like, really hit him hard. Get him, like, earn the fouls. Like, earn them. Don't just get these touch, ticky-tack fouls like you're talking about, Scott, because if we can hit him with some physicality during those fouls, that'd be great because that may knock him off his game a little bit. Monique, good to see you as always every morning. Such a great game all around. Let's go. Yes, Monique, let's complete the 2-game thing that you were saying yesterday. Let's get them both. Well, we got the first one. We're online to try and get the second one tonight. Believe that anything is possible and it can happen. And that's what happened last night. You believe it can be possible and it happens, baby. Oh, yeah. Paul B saying, what a fucking game. Paul, we got to think about that dunk that Precious did last night. I know he has a couple of these ferocious dunks where he just goes and attacks the rim. We're going to have to get a compilation of Precious's greatest hits, I think, possibly, for our segment we're going to do this summer about the best dunks from the Raptors season this year. Yeah, Paul B and I, we're going to be doing a collaborative effort on the dunking from the Raptors this season. We're going to put the list together and we'll present it to you guys when the season's over in the offseason. We don't have anything to talk about. Seymour saying the Sun staff was throwing the clipboard when Trent was coming up clutch. Yeah, I mean, listen, we've got to be really, there's a lot of truth to, like, in some ways they maybe hadn't been tested in a way that we tested them, like last night. In some ways, I mean, they're used to playing teams like the Lakers and shitty like teams that aren't trying to put any effort. They see a team that's putting in a lot of effort and really making them work hard, and they have a hard time a little bit. But yeah, it was just really smart coaching by Nick Nurse. They were really using a strength we have over the Suns against them the whole game. And it really did make us look like we were controlling the game and dominating them to a degree. And we got the win, which is the important thing. I was really worried we were going to show this all game. And then at the end of the game, they were going to do some veteran, like, we're the best team in the league kind of thing. And we're just going to beat you at the end of the game kind of thing last night. Well, we didn't let them do that. And that's the area I'm talking about, that we showed that veteran poise and closing out the game against a team that's really done a good job closing out games and winning games and coming back from being behind, that we were able to do that. That is a huge accomplishment. Huge accomplishment. Monique saying we got to contain Nikola Jokic. We definitely got to contain him as best we can. But also, there's a little bit of a strategy that Nick Nurse likes to use, which is called let the center do whatever the fuck he wants and kill us, but don't let anybody else do nothing. And that's the thing. That's kind of why I'm saying let's go ahead and just one-on-one against Jokic and then really guard up the other guys. Because they can have Jokic have a really good game and they'll lose. Because if they don't have any support for him around him and then we take that away from them, that could be a way we win tonight, is that we really take everybody out of it, but we let Jokic have what he's going to get. Because he's going to get what he's going to get anyway. And that has been a philosophy that Nick Nurse has talked about in press conferences before. He's like, well, yeah, we let that one guy do it, but we didn't let anybody else do nothing. And that could be part of what we do tonight. Paul B said he watched the Suns feed last night, which was all right. More surprised or disappointed when Raptors made shots. How was the Raptors broadcast? Lively. Well, I watched the same one as you, Paul. I was listening to Eddie Johnson be a little salty. There were times where I wanted to turn it down. The second half, when he started talking about how the Suns could try and win this game still, he kept waiting for Devin Booker to hit his big shot. Oh, well, Booker's out there lurking. He's going to go and get his shot at some point. Well, he shot it and he missed it and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good stuff like that. But yeah, I enjoyed somewhat, just listening. I enjoyed the game, and then listening to them kind of at the end of the game was fun. Yeah, it was fun. Scott B saying terrible. Matty did good though. Okay, see, he's not a fan of Alvin. Alvin's, he's going to be tough. Some people are going to be like, he's kind of barbling his words. He doesn't sound completely coherent or completely like finessed with his wording and things that he's saying and stuff like that. I understand. But like I said, he's getting better and better. And the other thing about Alvin is he's been with Sportsnet for a few years and he's built himself to this position. He was like a sideline guy. He was just an expert that would come in and do in-studio stuff. And he wanted to get to this point. And this is a natural progression for him to get to this point. Now, he could end up being like Morris, which is like, yeah, you remember Morris Peterson. He was involved in broadcasting and stuff like that, but it didn't work out eventually. that he just kind of went away. But I want Alvin, I really do want him to succeed because it's much better. Most teams in the league have a former pro that played for the team announcing their color for them, like Eddie Johnson. And that's why I like Alvin being in that spot and stuff like that. But I think Matt Devlin being in the broadcast, it can't be bad. He's awesome. He really is good. He's gotten better and better as he gets older. Chris comes saying, "Thanks, man. I got Raps by 6 tonight." All right. Great. Criscom has done his ESPN work. Raptors by 6 tonight. Let's see if he's right again. Keep this streak going for him also. Keep the Raptors streak going and the great Criscom's prediction streak going because he got the Phoenix game right last night. And how many people would have bet what you bet yesterday morning, Criscom, and the Vegas odds or anything like that? They may have got a good payday last night. Oh, yeah. If they had the guts to go by your prediction. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, he's saying that we owe Denver too, and they're missing too many players for the Raps to not take advantage. We just need to take advantage. We'll beat them. We'll beat Denver. We owe them. We should not have lost to them by 1 point. In fact, that 1 point loss to them, that refs helped them, it really started our slide. We started sliding after that and lost a lot of games after that. So it's weird because after that game, obviously Denver went on like a bunch of wins. They only lost like 2 or 3 games since that game. And we've not done well. We've won maybe 5 games since that game. So this is an important game to show that we've come full circle from that slide that started with the 1 point loss to the Denver Nuggets in Toronto. That we have come full circle and we're back to where we were before that game. And maybe we win this game tonight. That'll really show it. Really, really show it. Paul B saying, terrible. Ouch. I was hoping to rewatch the Raps feeds. No, rewatch it. Don't listen to them. They're just being biased against Alvin. It's probably fine. You should watch it rewatch it. Just rewatch it for fun because it's enjoyable to watch. And yeah, go watch it with our guys. I might do it myself just because I wanted to watch it with them, but I couldn't find that feed last night, unfortunately. And it's probably a similar thing for you, Paul. Monique saying NBA Instagram didn't even post no highlights of us. Shaking my head. Well, this is going to happen. They're going to have to, you just keep making noise until they have to hear it, is what the kind of thing is. Because, that game can't happen late at night. And they're going to probably some of these pessimistic, negative, hateful people towards the Raptors are saying, well, it's just one game. Oh, they got lucky in one game. It's the NBA. Any team can beat any team on any given night. Well, let's go out and fucking beat Denver tonight and then see what they're saying tomorrow morning. That's what I'm saying, Monique. That's a real quick, easy way to get us on NBA Instagram in the United States is beat 2 of the top Western Conference teams 2 nights in a row on a back-to-back on the road. Oh, yeah, baby. That'll get you some attention. Oh, yeah. Scott's saying, I would say Leo. Alvin is one of those guys that never wanted to be here. It's a new day. Same reason I don't like Vince. Thank God he isn't announcing Raptors games. That's not true, though. Alvin always wanted to be in Toronto. You're absolutely wrong. Alvin has been completely loyal to our team. In fact, one of the things, like the 3 jerseys that I have on the wall here are Muggsy, Alvin, and JYD. And to me, they represent 3 of the important tenets of the Raptors: heart, dedication, and hustle. And Muggsy is the heart because he was so small that he played with such a heart to be so big in the NBA. And JYD is the hustle because he was the guy who would sacrifice his body and run and hit out of bounds and do all the crazy stuff like Dennis Rodman and Kurt Rambis would do for the Raptors. Well, Alvin is the dedication, and he is truly dedicated to our team and our roster. He's not like Vince. You're wrong. He came to our team from Portland and embraced it right away, and he was always a real one. He's like DeMar. Alvin is. He's actually the first DeMar. He came in, and he's been dedicated to us. He stuck with us through the Vince shit. He stayed with us afterward and continued to be a good player for us. He hit big clutch shots for us early in our playoffs experience as a franchise. And you're absolutely wrong about Alvin in this regard. He's not like Vince. He's not like Chris. He's stayed in Toronto. In fact, he spends time in Toronto, like even when he's not working for Sportsnet, just hanging around Toronto. Like I saw him one day. One of the times I met him was at a Blue Jays game. And he was just there working for Sportsnet, not even like at a basketball game. He was just there. I saw him walking in front of the Metro Convention Center with his girlfriend at the time. And I was walking behind him and I said, Boogie, because he's the same height as me. And nobody normally would recognize him on the street because he's not super tall for an NBA player. He's 6'3", 6'4". And I was walking behind him. I said, Boogie. And he turned his head because I knew his nickname. And I talked to him for like 5 minutes. He's such a nice dude, well-spoken. Just give him a chance. He's not what you think he is. He really is. Vince, I couldn't stand listening to him call the Cleveland game the other day for ESPN. Because he is absolutely, yes, he's not with us, but Alvin is. Trust me. Alvin is definitely with us. He really is. Let's see. Monique's saying, just imagine if Gary Trent Jr. can do this again tonight. That'd be fantastic. What if Scotty could do something huge tonight? Like, I'd love to see Scotty get like 30 to 40 points tonight and like 10 rebounds, something like that against Jokic, something like that. Oh, man, it'd be so good. Monique's saying, in Masai and Bobby, we trust. Yes. We'll see what happens this summer. We're going to make good, successful moves. This is the thing. Other teams are worried that their GM is going to make some bonehead move and make the team even worse. Whereas we know our team is going to improve because our GMs are not inept. They know what they're doing. It's just awesome. Kareem's saying, I love this. Business trip continues. Toronto, next stop, Denver. And there's the briefcase and the airplane. Like I said, Delano loves collecting those cities right now. He's collecting those cities. Oh, one thing I do want to say for tonight, there's 2 games tonight. I think we can do a doubleheader. The 9:05 are playing earlier in the evening around 7, and then the game for Denver obviously is later around 9:10 or something like that. So you can actually watch 2 Raptor games in a row tonight. Catch the 9:05 early, and then watch the main roster later on tonight. So doubleheader of Raptor games tonight. It's going to be awesome. Seymour is saying, so when Casey retires, will we put up a Casey banner? So why DeRozan? They had the same success. I'm not a hater. Just want what's best for the team. It is very different, Seymour. And the reason why it's different, Coach Casey did win a Coach of the Year, and he did a lot of things. The reason why it's different, Seymour, is the all-time records in our franchise. DeMar DeRozan has played more minutes and more games than most people have played for the Raptors. And he has the most, he's up there in the leaders for all of our stat categories. That is, you don't have to just win a championship to get your jersey retired. You have to be a franchise player for a good period of time. He was on our team for 9 years, and you have to be one of our leading stat getters across the board. That's why. And not to mention, listen, Masai's going to do this because he feels partly guilty about how raw he did DeMar. And that in some ways we owe it to him. To honor his legacy and what he did with our team before we got the championship is really important, because we can't forget that he built us up, and that right before we were going to get the gold, we sent him away. So in a way, we owe it to him, and that we should honor him, because honestly, he could have been salty. He could have made things really ugly between us in some different ways in the press, but he didn't. It's because he was just hurt. Because, he got sent away. It's kind of like a girlfriend breaking up with you and you didn't see it coming and it hurt you. That's the same thing that happened to him. And he's a bigger man. He's forgiven us, and he still loves our city, obviously. So these are all reasons right there. He's one of the top scorers all time. He may have the most points in Raptor history, at the top of our record book. So it's stuff like that. That's what you got to look at. You can't just look at that kind of stuff. And no, Casey won't get a banner, but that's because coaches don't get banners like that. He's not going to get a banner, but he got a Coach of the Year award. He has a history with us, but DeMar's a whole different thing, because he was a franchise player. He was our man. He was our dude, and he carried us and built us into something. So that is why he deserves it. It's a very interesting thing. I know you're not a hater and stuff like that. I just want to elaborate and paint the picture for you to understand really why he is deserving in a lot of ways. He really is. Monique saying, statement win last night. Precious showing great signs. Yep. Seymour saying also, Lowry checks all the boxes for a jersey in the Raptors. For sure. I'm going to do this summer. I have my system for rating the Raptors on how great they are in our system. And number one and number two are Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. And I'll explain exactly how I did the formula and what is all factored into it. And a championship is involved in the factoring in. But there's other factors you have to involve, like loyalty, longevity, how good they were for us, in different ways like that. And I did it all, calculated all, and I did most of the Raptors. And I might have to adjust some of the scores because some things have changed since I did all that with Pascal and Fred. But I'm going to look at it this summer, and we'll do a greatest Raptor of all time ratings show, a clip sometime this summer where I'll rank all the Raptors, the top 10 Raptors in my eyes, as far as their greatness. And you're going to see DeMar DeRozan number 2 on the list. Kyle's number 1 and DeMar's number 2 for sure. Scott's saying, I know he's a Buck, just meant I didn't care about didn't care about Serge. He took less money to go play for the Clippers rather than stay in Toronto. Yeah, there was a little bit of ambiguity and weirdness about his exit here. I don't think we were offering him money. I think that they wanted him to leave. It really had a lot to do with the money, trying to get it organized to possibly get Giannis from the Bucks. That Serge didn't factor into the ability to make all the pieces work. So we had to let him walk. I did not agree with letting Serge and Mark leave at that time because I knew how important they were and how shitty we were going to be without no centers and having to do things with Aaron Baines and stuff like that. In some ways, I think that Serge was hurt because, first of all, Nick Nurse didn't play him at the end of the bubble series that year, at the end of the game. And he probably should have, because Serge did show some pissed off about not being used at the end of some of those games against Boston. And then the other thing was there was ambiguity about what we were offering him or whether we were offering him anything. I don't think we offered him anything. I know you're saying he took less money to go play for the Clippers, but I don't think we actually offered him a deal. I think people are saying this and that. I think he had to go there because he wasn't going to come back here, that we weren't going to give him that. So it's not necessarily that he chose them over us. I think that something went real south with the management, with the Raptors and him and things, and then it just went that way. And then we wanted to go in a new direction. And part of it was getting rid of these really older vets, that we just won the championship, and that Serge and Mark, the writing was on the wall, that if we're going to go young and go new, these guys are going to have to get phased out. And they said, why don't we do it ahead of time and maybe possibly get Giannis while we're at it? Well, we didn't get Giannis. It was really because of Giannis that we didn't keep Serge. That's why. That we were going all in the sweepstakes to try and get him, but he went and did the Supermax with Milwaukee instead. So, but it was a gamble, and they tried it, and they had backup plans for what they were going to do if they didn't get Giannis, and that's what we're doing since. So it's really that. I wouldn't diss Serge too much about how he left Toronto. At the time, it was really ambiguous and it was weird. It seemed like he may have done what you're saying, but I don't think that's what it was. I think it was that we closed the door on him and we're going to bring him back no matter what. And as bad as that sounds, Serge does look weird in a Bucks jersey. It's weird. Some of the shakeups you see players in new jerseys, it's always weird. I never got over seeing Roy Halladay in a Philadelphia Phillies jersey. It was just too weird to me. Too weird. Scott's saying you're either with us or against us. Looks good on him. Yeah, I don't think that Serge is against us. He honestly loves Toronto. He loves this city. He really connected with us. He's in good standing. He's not in bad standing. I thought it was ambiguous when he left, but at this point, I don't think it is. In some ways, you got to realize that Serge is past his prime. He's not really that great at this point. In fact, him going to the Clippers may have done us a service, because we may be getting him more broken down and not as good as he was when he was playing for us, because he's not the same player at this point. He's had some more injuries since he left the Raptors, and he hasn't really achieved that well with the Clippers and stuff like that. So he's really on his downside. So I think we're overvaluing Serge Ibaka a little bit at this point in his career. And also, I don't think he's going to be a huge factor for the Bucks in their playoff run this year. He's going to end up probably being on the bench a lot and stuff like that. So He's not somebody I count against us, if that's what you're saying. I think it's because they only offered him a 1 year and we're going for Gasol. That's right. G is actually correct. He wanted a 3 year deal, and we were only going to give him a 1 year deal. And that's part of the reason why he took the deal with the Clippers. And it really was the money thing. We wanted to be freed up for this summer and next summer. And if we'd signed Serge to what he wanted at that time, which is a 3 year deal, then it would hamper us this summer and stuff like that. So we were really kind of thinking ahead. This is what I was talking about earlier, that they had their 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year plan, Bobby and Masai. Well, at that crossroads with Serge, they decided that was the time to just like, well, we're not going to commit to you for 3 years. We want you just for 1 year. Will you do 1 year? No, I want a longer contract. Okay, well then go see what else you can get. And that's kind of what happened. Is that kind of thing. I think G's right. That's what I remember it, how it went down like that. And we were going harder for Gasol uh, than than Serge. Yeah. Yeah, and Gasol, honestly, he's even worse. Like, I think if he was on this team right now, he would really stick out, like not belonging with this team because he's just so slow compared to what we're doing right now. Scott saying no, because he thought they were going to win and we were not. That may be part of it. These older players do think that way. Like Kyle, he's like he wants to go to Miami, win another championship. They think about like Goran, his stupid shit with Brooklyn. That may be part of it. That's fair to say. That Serge may have thought that he had a better chance going to the Clippers and being with Kawhi again and stuff like that. Yeah, I think you're right with that too. But also, like, well, you see how well they did. They can't just mimic us in LA, get all our former players and think that they're just going to do well. No, the Clippers are a mess. In fact, when we play them on Wednesday, I think we're going to beat their ass. Like, I'd really like to sweep LA, the city, for the season. And we got to win 3 games in a row, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to do that. And I think we can. I really do think we can. All right, Seymour saying Raptors piss melts. Denver Nugget gold. Let's get this W. All right, let me do this. Since you guys are saying this. This is a real mascot matchup for tonight. Last time we saw the Raptor, he was living on a ranch with Cowboy Pop. And he's learning all of his secrets about ranching and rustling and cattling and just having a good old time on the plane, on the range, home on the range. And well, years and years go by, and he noticed that his environment was getting hotter. The sun was getting larger and larger. So they called their congressman. They said, we want to change how we do energy on Earth. We want to go to renewables. We want to stop using coal. We want to stop using all this stuff, gas and oil, because we want to get our planet to be okay. And we want the sun to not go through the ozone so tough and burn us all up. Because that's what it seems like we're going towards right now out here on the plane with Cowboy Pop and stuff. So they call a congressman and we make this change as a society. Holy crap. The whole entire world starts making changes with how they do energy. And all of a sudden the climate gets better and the sun's power went away and we beat the sun. Yes. Yes. So they're feeling really good out on the range. The coach, I keep saying coach, Cowboy Pop and the Raptors just kicking back on the porch, on the rocking chairs, like good day's work. Yeah. Well, now they see something glinting out in the field. They see something shining in the sunshine. They're like, what is that? And they go and look, and it's a nugget. It's just a nugget, a gold nugget laying on the ground. They're like, wow, our luck just can't get any better. But wait, Coach, I keep saying Coach, Cowboy Pop says, no, wait, Raptor, don't grab that gold. I recognize that gold. That is the hexed, like, what is the word? What is it when it's something's like hexed or like it's like bad? Like if you touch it, you're going to get a curse. It's cursed. It's cursed gold that I read about. That's from Aztec populations from south of us. Yeah, that looks like cursed Aztec gold. Don't grab it, Raptor. Well, the Raptor grabs it with his hand and he's like, I want it still. What will happen? There's your cliffhanger. Is that nugget of gold cursed by Aztec like predecessors who owned it and has made that gold cursed? Or are they going to get some money going down to the pawn shop? Who knows? Tune in next time. We'll see if Cowboy Pop and the Raptor are going to get some money or they got a curse. Oh, yeah. We'll find out tonight. All right. There's the real mascot matchup. I hope that was all right. All right. Anyway, it's so silly. All right. Let's see. San Antonio Tank got Tim Duncan and won his Rookie of the Year. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The parallels between the Spurs franchise when David Robinson was out and they tanked and they got Tim Duncan, and then they went into a championship dynasty era are very similar to what's happening with the Raptors. That we tanked in Tampa, we got Scotty Barnes with the 4th pick, and that we may be set up to go on some sort of like championship run in the next 10 years because of that luck. That the Tampa season may end up being looked at as a catalyst, a starting point, a ceiling point for some really amazing, great things for the Raptors franchise in the years to come. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling like might happen. Monique's saying last night some Earl Watson should get some credit. Yes, yes, I agree with this. Why not? We have a cook from their kitchen that really knows Devin Booker. If this is going to be a great thing about having Earl Watson on our team is that he developed a lot of the Phoenix Suns players that we really know how to play them well. Like he's got an inside track and say, Nick, well, I know this guy's tendency. I know this guy's weakness. Let's exploit this. Yeah, he was totally a factor last night, Earl Watson. I'm pretty sure. And this is the thing. He taught Devin Booker a lot of how he knows what to do on the court. And that may be part of the reason why we're keeping Devin Booker more human when he plays against us, that he doesn't have a game where he completely goes off or goes crazy just because we have his former coach and his mentor, Earl Watson, sitting on our bench right now. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I saw the fist bump from Nick Nurse. Really good stuff, like just all around stuff. Kareem saying, and the Oscar for Best Actor goes to, drumroll, Cameron Payne for his star role in You Guys Cut Me in 2019 and won the chip without me. Bravo, Kareem. Kareem, once again, bringing the fire. Dude, listen, man, you are a rookie of the year on this channel, just a rookie of the month for what you have come with the fire. The couple of times you come into the stream and your comments are just on point. I love it. I love it. You're right, though. He did. That is part of it. It's a DJ Augustin kind of thing. We cut a player. We give up on them. They go somewhere else. Hassan Whiteside, and they have a chip on their shoulder against us. They want to prove us wrong, and that's just natural. That's the same reason why Norman Powell kills the Milwaukee Bucks, is because the Bucks cut him, they got rid of him, and he wants to make sure that they get paid for it every single time since. So Cam Payne is just another one of those guys with the Raptors because we did cut him. And he has a chip on his shoulder about that because we got a chip. Oh, yeah. Alistair saying, I wish the superstars were the most loyal. I think that our superstars actually are. And that's the thing I'm talking about with this loyalty, this dedication thing with DeMar, with Alvin Williams, with Fred VanVleet, with Pascal Siakam. These guys are Raptor guys. These guys are going to be, they have affinity and love and loyalty to people in general. In their general lives, whether it's their family, their friends, people in them, these are extremely loyal people. Like DeMar is an extremely loyal kind of guy. You got to think about the environment that he grew up in Compton with the Crips around him and stuff like that. There's a lot of loyalty underlying and a lot of different things in places with DeMar DeRozan in his life. And then the same thing with people like Fred VanVleet. He has a lot of loyalty to the Raptors in some ways, and he is a loyal dude to his people, his friends, and the people that are close to him. That rubs off and shows something. That's something about character. And there are a lot of players that are snakes, that are not really loyal people, that will stab you in the back and do different things. We don't pick those kind of guys. That's why we keep these guys as part of the character. If they seem like they might be snakes or they may be that down the road, then we let them go and we let them go on to new teams. But we keep the ones we know are real ones. And that's Fred and Pascal and OG right now. And hopefully it'll be Scotty and Precious also. So we'll see what happens with all this. It is a real huge factor. And it is something that's more and more important as the franchise gets older. Early on, it was really hard for us to have any kind of player loyalty to the Raptors. Like Vince didn't have any reason to be loyal to us because we were a joke. And that was part of the factoring in on what he did with his exit. Is like, if we were more respectable the way we are now, he wouldn't have done jack shit like that. That's fucked up what he did. And that's what I'm saying. That looks more on his character than, the loyalty character we get from these other guys we're talking about. Seymour saying, who behind you, Mean Gene? Your girl wants to know. All right, well, listen, every game, these are like a little Easter egg. If you watch behind me when we win, Mean Gene will be behind us interviewing somebody. And today is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is my wrestler that's going to symbolize the Phoenix Suns, because a dragon and a phoenix are both mythical creatures. And I figured I don't have any wrestlers from Phoenix. The only wrestler that's really from that area is Shawn Michaels. And I don't have an LJN of Shawn Michaels. So I put Ricky in there. And Outback Jack is there on the side because he's on deck. That's Denver right there. Outback Jack symbolizes the Denver team to me. So that's what it is. Basically, the Easter egg is, if you go back and watch any of the ones where we win games, you'll see a wrestler in there that symbolizes the team that we just beat. So like when we beat San Antonio, it was Terry Funk. We had Terry Funk out there from the Double Cross Ranch and stuff like that. So they're the wrestlers. They're old school LJNs from the 80s that I collected as a kid. I had these since I was a little kid. So I've had them for like 35 years. And I just recently got them back because my parents are selling their house and they had to get a bunch of stuff out of the house. And these were up in the closet in the attic. And I got reunited with them just a few months ago. So now I made them a part of the live stream just as a fun little Easter egg. If you're paying attention, you'll see Mean Gene interviewing different people behind me, depending on who we just beat. But yeah, it's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and Outback Jack is behind me also. I've kind of been covering him up, but he symbolizes the Nuggets. So, all right, let's see. Alistair saying, it made sense we lost 3 times straight to LeBron as well. That's why he was traded. Yeah, LeBron was a real stumbling block for us. He was a wall in the Eastern Conference for many, many years, and it was really nice when he went to LA. It really was really nice. It really helped things out a lot. Isaac Campbell, good to see other new names here. We're here every day between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. At some point, I'll start the live stream Eastern Standard Time. You can come come talk to us every day. Isaac saying, yeah, they only wanted to pay Serge for 1 year. That was really what it was. It was a sticking point over how many years that contract would be for, 1 or 3 years. And it's good we didn't sign him, because we'd have him still on the team. He may be tying up some money and things like that. We may not be able to do some of the things we're doing right now. Monique saying Denver is so injury prone to me. Well, they've had real problems with injuries, and that's why they're kind of saying that Malone should be maybe coach of the year, because he's held it together. Denver's doing really well without Jamal Murray. And that's really saying a lot, because in some ways he really is like their second best player after Jokic, obviously. You guys remember that Malone, the coach of the Nuggets, has actually got a Raptor connection. His father was the first ever coach of the Raptors, Brendan Malone. Did you realize that? I don't know if y'all knew that, but his dad was the first ever coach of the Raptors in their beginning. Brendan Malone is his dad, the Malone guy who coaches the Nuggets. So Scott retracted his statement. Seymour saying Clippers moved Ibaka because he's feeding people some nasty food. Yeah. Oh, so good. Yeah, maybe it was because he had Steve Ballmer on that episode. He made Steve Ballmer eat something nasty. I didn't watch that episode. I can't stand Steve Ballmer, so I'm not going to watch that episode. And then, Paul George and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's hilarious that he does that kind of stuff, like making him eat the nasty food. It was funny because DeMar made him drink that cricket tea. He was like, if I don't have to drink this cricket tea, I think if somebody goes through the gauntlet of your questions and answers every single one of your questions, you should have to drink your cricket tea, Serge. Oh, yeah, you should have to drink the cricket tea. So he made him drink it, and he drank it. Listen, Serge, you're supposed to be like, this is normal for me. I'm from my home country, and this is something I would eat, and it doesn't even make me have any kind of worry. But he did look like he didn't enjoy it. So, Serge, come on, man. If you're going to be like, I'm putting cricket tea on people and it's not a problem, I have no problem with it. Don't look like it is a problem for you when you have to drink it yourself. You got to be like, yeah, this is nothing. Come on. You're a baby. That's how you should have been, Serge. It's hilarious. He's crunching those crickets in his mouth. That's hilarious what you said, Seymour. That may be part of the reason why they sent him. Maybe they want to give Giannis Antetokounmpo some crazy-ass meal next. Yeah, that'll be interesting if he gets Giannis on his show. Scott saying Kem has given us a broken nose, a tooth, and no foul on either. We the North. Got nothing but love for this guy. I hope he feels our energy too. This is interesting. You bringing up Chem. They had a new open gym come out last night. It's about Courtside Moms, which is the podcast that his mother does. Kem Birch's mother, Tracy, does. She interviews like so many different NBA moms from around the league. And it's an interesting podcast. I watched it for a little while, but then I kind of got bored with it because it really is about the mom stuff. It's about them and how they live their lives, having a son that's in the NBA and stuff like that. But yeah, Kem has sacrificed a lot for us and stuff like that. And you watch that open gym from last night, and you'll see his journey a lot more like closer and understand that he is a lot like Justin Champagnie. He's a lot like Fred VanVleet. He was undrafted, and he had a weird route to get to this point to be on the Raptors right now. Like he had to go play in Greece and Turkey for a little bit and make his way back into the NBA. So he's really worked really hard, and he always wanted to play for the Raptors. Like this is who he watched as a little kid with his dad, and he was a Raptors fan. So Kem Birch being on the Raptors is huge because he's a real one. And he's somebody that really, really is happy to be here. And that's why it's evident that he's sacrificing himself so hard out there on the court. And one of the things that he said last night in his press conference was he believes that because he's so hurt right now, because his knee's still messed up, he's still managing the soreness in his knee. He says it's a 24/7 kind of thing he has to deal with, is that he believes that if he was on another team and he was hurt like this, he would be shelved. And that he really appreciates that the Raptors are keeping him in the rotation and active and important to what the team's doing, even though he is kind of hurt. That on other franchises, he might not be seeing the court at all with what's happening with him. And he's still really contributing in big ways. But we do need to remember that Kem has been kind of hurt this whole entire season. And let's think about this. What if this summer he either has a surgery to help the problem with his knee, or he really rests it and really rehabs it, and he comes back next year and he looks like a whole new player because he's not hurt at all next season? That's another thing we could think about that possibly could happen. And we could see more improvement with the way he moves around out there, and maybe his offense will be way more sharp also. So that's an interesting prospect to see what happens if Kem gets fully healed with his knee, because he's not playing 100%. This whole season, he hasn't been 100% at all. So Monique saying, get this win tonight, and we're one game behind the Cavs. Yes, keep climbing, keep striving. I'm really paying attention to who's playing who in the Eastern Conference right now, rooting for teams. They're going up against Boston and Cleveland and the teams above us and any team that's just below us too. Like, I don't want Brooklyn to win games right now. I don't want Atlanta to get hot. I don't want Charlotte to do better. No, I want them to continue to struggle, and I want a team above us to struggle also, whether it is Cleveland, Chicago, I hate to say it, or, Milwaukee's actually streaking up now. So it's a little bit different like that. Fun guy saying, love shutting down Devin Booker. Yes, it's so fun to see him not do anything. I wonder if his little girlfriend, Kendall's like, why didn't you play better? Why didn't you guys win? It's Toronto. Yeah, it's so awesome. Andrew, let's go. We got to play the Nuggets tonight. There's a big win last night. Wasn't it fun, Andrew? So fun. Monique saying Devin Booker crying to his lady love, going home to Kendall and saying, oh, baby, oh, they beat me. The Raptor. Click 2 AM saying just got home from work. Amazing game last night. Watching JaVale makes me jealous. He's underrated. If we had JaVale McGee on our team, listen, I'm not a fan of JaVale McGee, Click 2 AM. I've seen too much of his career and how much he's appeared on Shaqtin' the Fool. If people have been on Shaqtin' the Fool, like they keep the stats of it, I think JaVale McGee is one of the top leaders of appearing on Shaqtin' the Fool for many, 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 many years. And I still think he's that kind of guy. Sure, he can come out and get 4 blocks real quick and do different things and stuff like that, but he's a knucklehead. Let's not get this wrong. He's not a very smart guy, and his basketball IQ in some ways has gotten better as he's played more and more in the NBA. But when he first came in the league, he was an idiot. Like, he made really bad turnovers, really poor decisions left and right, and he's kind of gotten reined in and became a better pro as time goes on. But I still don't like him. I still feel like he's a goon. He's still kind of like one-dimensional in some ways. He really is just a rebounder, a shot blocker, doesn't have any offense to his game. Yeah, he's not on my list for somebody I'd ever want to be a Raptor. He's never been on that list. But I can see where you could see where he could actually really help fit in, like if he's on our team as that center that we've been talking about this season. But no, no, no. I think he's a knucklehead. And I don't want him on my team. Like in some ways, I think he is a knucklehead, like as a person. So who knows? Click 2am saying also, Cameron Payne lost all my respect. I was a fan of Booker as well. I love his game, but I lost respect for him because of his attitude. When things don't go well, he becomes a bitch. Wow. Click. Yeah. I mean, I never really liked Cam Payne. Like he's always kind of been a Raptor killer because we cut him. Like whenever we play him since, he has gone big and above and beyond what he normally does. And he does have like that kind of killer instinct. So I don't like him just for that he has a grudge against us and he is a known enemy. So yeah, I like Booker. I think Booker is an interesting player because of his journey in the NBA of like not getting really any attention and for being so good in Phoenix for so long because they weren't a good team and now getting more kudos and really getting the respect as an all-around scorer in the league. But once again, there's something about Booker, there's some weaknesses. And in some ways he could actually be exploited on the other end for his defense. I hate to say it, but yeah. But I don't hate Booker. I think the whole thing with the Raptors hilarious, and he's a good scorer. I respect him. He's not a bad dude. But yeah, if you don't want to like these guys, I'm all for it. I'm with you with campaign, but I'm not really totally with you with Devin Booker. Monique saying the early Raptor days weren't pretty, but yes, I remember. Yes, it was really a different time. We have to understand how much better we got it now. There's so many different things that have been built up. And like I said, people like Tim Lewicki, Masai Ujiri, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, these are the guys who gave us respectability. Dwayne Casey, these are the guys who built it, and we can't forget them, and they're part of the process, even if they weren't a part of the championship year. That even Jonas Valanciunas is somebody that I would possibly consider retiring his jersey for the Raptors. I know that may be a stretch, but he is the kind of person that you got to kind of actually consider just because he had such a long period of time for us and he was important to our team for a long time. Jonas Valanciunas. So stuff like that. Let's see. Seymour saying I have more respect for Alvin than Vince. You just got to, because honestly, that's the thing. If you were there and you remember how it went down with Vince, he stopped playing for us. He was dogging it. We were losing, and Alvin was still out there on the court playing his ass off and trying to win games, even though Vince wasn't trying. So that's what I'm saying. At the point where Vince gave up and he was on his way out and he wanted to leave and he stopped playing for us, he admitted that he tried on purpose to not play good for us, to kind of get out of there. That's the thing that pisses me off the most is he admitted it publicly and made us look bad in that way. It's like he built up our image with his dunking and bringing us to the forefront and making us somewhere on the map. And then he kind of crashed that tower down by saying, well, I don't disrespect them so much. I didn't even play hard for them. And I'm even such a disrespectful person to them. I'll admit it and tell everybody publicly. So that kind of did damage to how he built us up. So that's part of the reason. And Alvin didn't do that. He's built us up in his own way as much as he could a whole time. And like I said, he's never left Toronto. These other guys have left and gone back and come back. Well, Alvin stuck with us right until the end of his career for the most part. And even afterwards, he's like JYD. He's like Muggsy. He comes back. He shows up. Muggsy was at the game the other night. JYD comes back to Toronto and does community stuff with the city all the time. And so does Alvin. Alvin is one of those guys, just like those other guys. He's involved with the city of Toronto since and consistently, not just coming back for alumni night to get your kudos and get a round of applause. He's still here and he's still been working with us this whole time. Monique saying, guys, Norm and Fred are collaborating with something. Yes, that's very interesting. You brought that up. I've seen on Instagram a couple of ads with a thing where it's half Norman's face and half Fred's face, and they're coming out with something. Very intrigued by that. Fred's got so many things on the stove. He's got so many things cooking, like whether it's his entrepreneur podcast, whether it's the things he's doing with different clothing lines and shoes and stuff like that. And he just keeps expanding to more and more stuff. It's really cool. Alistair saying McGee couldn't take Shaq roasting him anymore and went off on Twitter. Yeah. He went off on him. Well, listen, Shaq is a bully. He's kind of an asshole. There's some things that I'm finding out recently about what Shaq was doing, like pouring pee and poop on people. Rookies, yeah, rookie hazings. He would pee in a bucket and he would dump it on people. That's a fucked up thing to do. I don't care if you're that big and tall and you're that badass in the NBA. You're a bully, Shaq. And I hope that you understand how you've been a bully in your life and you need to become better about it and be more humanitarian, be more better to your everybody, because that's awful. If you were pouring piss on people from a bucket and shit like that, he's a bully. And he was really super hard on JaVale McGee. And he did need to call him out and say something about it. But once again, the reason why he was on Shaq and a Fool was because he was fundamentally really bad. Like there were a lot of things that JaVale McGee were doing over the years that was really fundamentally super awful. And that's why. I mean, when you make a play so bad, you get on Shaq and a Fool. And that's just how it works. Alistair saying campaign was hooping. He was. He was really trying hard and doing what he could in the place of Chris Paul. But he's not Chris Paul. And in some ways, he being in the starting lineup and having to work so hard took away from their bench. Because listen, between the injuries of different people on the Suns, they had to shift guys like we did recently from their bench into the starting lineup, and that took a lot away from their bench production. In fact, that's part of the reason why we beat them off the bench in scoring last night, is that some of their key scorers off the bench had to start, like Cameron Payne. So Seymour saying, I think McGee took Shaq to court about shaming. Really interesting. He probably should have, or maybe he's slandering him left and right and on a daily basis. He basically made him like the NBA court jester to a degree, JaVale McGee. Summer Lowe, good to see Summer. Summer's a trivia shark. I hope you'll come and play the next trivia game, Summer. Alvin hit one of the biggest shots in Raptors history. That's right. Summer, see, listen, I can tell Summer's an old school from the beginning fan, because she comes in here with knowledge of those eras that is not totally common. People were not paying that close attention in some ways to the Raptors. And I love that Summer brought this up, because this is absolutely true. In fact, Alvin may have hit some of the most important early clutch shots in our playoff runs. Like, he helped us beat the Knicks in the first ever playoff series we won as a franchise. Really, Alvin Williams was one of the main important people. Vince was there and he was important, but Alvin was the guy at the end of the game that hit huge, big clutch shots, as Summer is saying. And we need to understand that and respect that. It's kind of like Alvin is Fred. You have to think about it this way. Alvin Williams was Fred VanVleet back in the day. And that's how important he was to the Raptors at that time. So don't discount him. He's not like a scrub off the bench or anything like that. This dude was a very important rotation player to the Raptors in a very important time when we were actually in the playoffs. So, we can't discount Alvin. Sorry. Alistair saying superstars have big egos naturally. The best players always been the biggest assholes. It's a balance. You got to have a balance between being that asshole and being a nice guy and still being a good team person. That's part of the problem sometimes with our guys, is we're not ego guys. And in some ways, that's where you say you got to have that baller mentality, that street mentality where you're like, I'm a badass, I'm arrogant, I have an ego and all that kind of stuff. With humility, you got to balance it and have the right mix. And sometimes you have to push the gas on being more of a badass and having an ego and stuff. That's why I kind of like Gary Trent Jr.'s swag. Like, the way he carries himself out there is kind of like what you're talking about, that he has an ego about his game and how he's going with it, but it doesn't take away from the game team overall, that it fits in and he works within it. That's a problem. An ego like Russell Westbrook and the way he operates, it does take away from his team. But that's what I'm saying. That's the balance. You have to have that ego, that mindset that you want to go and eat and take yours, and you're the best player and you want to beat everyone. But you also have to balance it with the humility and the camaraderie and the synergy with your teammates and not take away from it. So there's been so many good, really good players. Like Allen Iverson is a great example of this, that never won anything because of that ego. It's like a balance. You have to balance that with your usage and make the guys around you better. That's why the superstars of the 80s were better. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, they made their teammates better. And then these guys like Harden, Westbrook, these guys aren't, because they don't make their teammates better. They make them worse. So that's what I'm saying, is like there's a balance in between what you're saying and not having that total sheepish like humility, like the Spurs have been a soft team in the past. labeled that. We've been labeled that at times in our history also, that we're too nice. Nobody's like stepping up and being a badass and trying to take over, stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but find the right balance and the right mix, you'll be all right. Monique's saying, Lex, I'm only going to the Raptors Miami game after all. Time to save. I'm with you. It is that kind of time. Things are starting to open up again, and might have to spend money in different ways that you haven't had to during the lockdown. And things like that. You just, it's that kind of thing. So I'll see you at the Miami game. Make sure, Monique, you give me the section you're going to be in, and Adriana and I will come and see you and say hello. We'll take a picture and just catch up a little bit in person. That'd be nice. Okay, I'm at 2.5 hours. Oh my gosh, holy crap. It just goes by so fast. Like I said, tonight, Denver, let's try and play Jokic straight up. I don't want to see them try and collapse with doubles on him constantly, because he makes us pay when we come at him with the second person. He finds that person that gets open because he's so good at passing. And that may be an easier shot than him trying to beat somebody one-on-one. So I really want to look for that tonight and see how we play Jokic, whether we play him straight up or we try and double him. And, that could be a really good way that we beat them, is not doubling him. Try that, because in the last game, it really did seem like he was helping their offense get going on other guys by getting the double on him. So that's really one thing I'll be looking at. And obviously, once again, it's all the other stuff. We beat them with energy. We got to out-energy them, out-rebound them, out-hustle them, out-do everything, out-shoot, free-point shoot them, all that kind of stuff. We can win. And I really hope we do, because these are games that we had people were marking as L's automatically when they looked at going into them. And we can change that. We can make this reality a completely different thing than what the NBA and their narrative thinks going to happen while we're out on this West Coast trip. Yeah, let's start winning all these games. Oh, yeah, because now we've got 2 of the 3 victories that I wanted to get out of the 6. And now we have 3 more games to go to get 1 more of the victories that I think it'll be a successful trip. But if we get 2 of the victories and we end up going 4 out of 6 with victories, that is fantastic. Because you look at paper, who we were playing in this trip. And yeah, I know the Lakers are on there. That's still really impressive, especially since we didn't beat Cleveland in the first game. Because that, to me, was the easiest game on this trip in some ways. So anyway, y'all, comment, subscribe, share. Please, if I've said anything today that you've enjoyed or found insight in, please hit that red subscribe button. It really helps me out. Monique's saying Chris is going to be huge tonight. Chris once again didn't get to play in the second half. It was really weird. He got 12 minutes once again just in the first half. He did really good things. He was fine out there. I think he's doing great. But for some reason, Nick is giving guys like Thad and Precious more time in the second half than Chris. But I'm sure that'll shift around and change some more. And I think Chris has been playing great still, even in the time he's out there. Like, what did he do last night? Let's look at it exactly. He only got 12 minutes, as I said, 4 points, 3 rebounds, and a block. It is what it is. It's kind of a little bit of an off night. Lumpy, thank you. I appreciate that compliment. I'll be here every morning. You know that. I'll be here every day. It doesn't matter. Let's go Raptors. Thanks, Kenrick. Also to you. Guys, anything you guys want to talk about any day, you bring it up. We'll talk about it, and we'll get it out there. Tomorrow, reacting to the game tonight. Hopefully it'll be a good W. All right, Scotty, be grateful. You're trying to win the Rookie of the Year, and you need to continue to do what you're doing. You did a great job last night. You're giving them ammunition to be the Rookie of the Year. And I think you're going to get it. You just got to keep pushing. It's so close. Cade's on a losing team, and Evan Mobley is not necessarily as important to his team as you are to yours. So really, really show it in the next couple of games. And these are big stages to do it. When we go to LA on Monday, everybody's going to be watching you play against LeBron. So, yeah, be great, Scotty. We want to see you kick ass and win that Rookie of the Year award. And I think that you guys were right when you're saying it has to do with us in the standings with Cleveland. We overtake Cleveland, and he's going to get more consideration, Scotty Barnes. All right, y'all. Let's go! Woo! Yeah!